Chapter 400. The more developed the entertainment industry was, the more scandals there were in the entertainment industry. The rise of the internet had allowed the interaction between people to reach an unprecedented level. Information that could only be obtained through television, radio, newspapers, and magazines in the past could now be obtained immediately through the internet. The internet had also allowed celebrities and idols to receive far more attention than before. But at the same time, the negative news of celebrities would also be magnified on the internet, easily triggering a frenzy of public opinion. The same rice fed all kinds of people. In this industry, there were all kinds of people. As more and more people entered, negative news was constantly exposed, causing the public's negative impression of the entertainment industry to deepen. Drug abuse, prostitution, cheating, drunk driving, brawling. In recent years, these scandals had become frequent guests in the entertainment section of the media. They often appeared in the headlines, causing their social influence to continue to expand. Under such circumstances, the relevant departments of the country had no choice but to come up with corresponding rules and increase the punishment for celebrities who violated laws and regulations or morals. It was no longer the 3 glasses of wine punishment that they used to have. Won Xiaoquan had been imprisoned for 1.5 years for assaulting someone. Although his crime was pardonable, rules were rules. It was a law that everyone had to abide by. 2 years of imprisonment was already considered a lenient punishment. Therefore, Won Xiaoquan could not make a movie in these 2 years. Even if he did, he could not be released or broadcast. Of course, no film production company or investors would look for him. The only way left for him was to either retire temporarily or find another job. In fact, the impact of such a ban was very far-reaching. It was better for a director like Won Xiaoquan, but if it was an idol artist, 2 years was enough to completely push them into the abyss, unable to make a comeback. However, for Won Xiaoquan, he could still support himself after sitting on the bench for 2 years. At least, he would not starve to death. However, not being able to engage in a career that he liked and dedicated his life to was undoubtedly a great torment. Compared to 2 years ago, Won Xiaoquan gave people the feeling that he had aged at least 10 years, and his sideburns had turned white. Therefore, when he saw the script of A Chinese Ghost Story that Lu Chen took out, Won Xiaoquan was excited at first. He felt a warm current surging in his body, quickly spreading throughout his body, making him feel as if he had regained the vitality of life. However, when he thought of his own situation, it was as if a basin of ice water had been poured over his head, and he suddenly woke up. This feeling was really difficult to describe in words. The conflict in his heart made Won Xiaoquan clench his fists. His knuckles turned white from clenching too hard. When Lu Chen saw this, he sighed in his heart. Of course, Lu Chen knew the trouble that Won Xiaoquan was facing, but since he had taken out the script, he must have come prepared. Mr. Won, I would like to invite you to be my director in this movie. There were policies and countermeasures. Won Xiaoquan couldn't be a director in name, but it was not a problem for him to be a consultant and guide. To put it bluntly, he was selling dog meat under a sheep's head to avoid the ban. However, in this way, even if the entire movie was directed by Won Xiaoquan, his name would not appear in it. Whether it was in the publicity or in the subtitles, he was equivalent to an invisible person. This was undoubtedly a compromise. Lu Chen had only proposed it because he understood Won Xiaoquan's situation. If the other party was addicted to drugs, then no matter how talented Won Xiaoquan was, Lu Chen would only stay away from him. After all, it was risky for him to hire Won Xiaoquan as a director. Won Xiaoquan's eyes suddenly lit up. As an insider, how could he not understand what Lu Chen meant? This method was completely feasible. Although there was no direct honor as a director, what he needed most now was a job, not honor. Actually, at this time, the middle-aged man sitting next to him suddenly said, "I have a suggestion." Lu Chen quickly said, "Mr. Zhang, go ahead." This middle-aged man, surnamed Zhang, was a senior independent media person and one of Wan Xiaochuan's few friends. The middle-aged man said seriously, "Xiao Lu, if you want to invite Lao Wan to direct your movie, I suggest you take him to Xiangjiang." Lu Chen couldn't help but be stunned. To Xiangjiang? Yes, to Xiangjiang. The man smiled and said, "You may not know, but at the beginning of the year, SARFT issued a new regulation. This new regulation was specifically aimed at the film industry of Xiangjiang, echoing with the film industry support plan of the Xiangjiang Special District Government, with the intention of helping to revitalize the film industry of Xiangjiang." The film industry of Xiangjiang was once very glorious in the 1980s and 1990s. After Xiangjiang returned to the motherland in 77 years, a large number of local films were able to be released in the huge mainland market. Urban films, comedies, ghost films, police films, and so on deeply affected several generations of young people, and many film and television stars also emerged. There were even many third-rate romance films that flowed into the mainland and were played in places such as street video halls. However, this prosperity did not last for too long. Due to the serious homogeneity and the emergence of shoddy production, it was gradually abandoned by the audience. In addition, the vigorous development of the mainland film and television industry, Xiangjiang's film industry suffered a great impact and soon declined after entering the new century. Therefore, many practitioners went north to seek development, and the continuous loss of talent aggravated this decline. In the past 10 years, Xiangjiang's film industry has been seeking a breakthrough in difficulties, and there have been a few good films, but it was undoubtedly a fool's dream to restore the prosperity of the past. And Xiangjiang's filmmakers have also been calling for the support of the government. The new regulation of SARFT and the support plan of the Xiangjiang Special District Government were brewed under this background. Wan Xiaochuan's old friend further explained in detail, "You have no foundation in the film industry. Instead of choosing to compete with so many strong opponents in the capital, it is better to jump to Xiangjiang and start a new career, such as opening a film studio." The film industry support plan of the Xiangjiang government is not only effective for the locals. Any film production company registered in Xiangjiang can enjoy preferential and supportive policies, and can also participate in the local film market of Xiangjiang, and at the same time radiate to Taiwan, Japan, and Southeast Asia. The most important thing is that, according to the new regulation of SARFT, movies produced in Xiangjiang can apply for approval and broadcast Green Channel. Once approved, then it can be released in the 3 major domestic cinemas and small and medium-sized cinemas at the same time. Just this point alone is completely worth going to Xiangjiang. Lu Chen's heart palpitated. Chapter 401. The domestic film industry was developing rapidly. As of 2015, apart from the 3 special administrative regions, there were more than 5,000 cinemas and 25,000 screens in the country. The annual box office reached 48 billion, accounting for 50% of the Asia-Pacific market, second only to the United States. In China, the 3 major cinemas, Wanlong, New Generation, and Meichen divided the main share of the film market. Wanlong owned more than 400 cinemas, and was the well-deserved leader. The profits brought by operating the cinemas were quite amazing. According to the proportion of the domestic film box office, of the 100 yuan box office, 5 yuan had to be paid to the film fund, 5 yuan as tax, and the remaining 5 yuan, 45 yuan for the cinemas, 15 yuan for the cinemas, and only 5 yuan for the producers and distributors. This meant that the cinemas with a large number of cinemas could share the most abundant profits. Not only that, with the expansion of the film market, the rich cinemas extended their tentacles to the forefront, forming a one-stop shooting, production, distribution, and screening model, eating up all the meat from top to bottom. In such a situation, big and small film and television production companies were bound to be suppressed by the cinemas, and the competition between them was very fierce. As an independent artist, if Lu Chen wanted to squeeze into this market, it could be imagined how difficult it would be. Lu Qin had to rely on a powerful production company, establish a good cooperative relationship with the three major cinemas, and then share most of the benefits to get a foothold. And in the process, Lu Qin also had to look at other people's eyes. Of course, he didn't need to do this. With his current popularity, there was no problem for him to be the male lead in a certain movie. Participating in the shooting and producing and distributing were completely different things. And Lu Chen's ambition was obviously not satisfied with being the male lead in the movie. He wanted more. Wan Xiaoquan's friends saw this, so he made such a suggestion, to go to Xiangjiang. With the new regulations of the SARFT and the support plan of the Xiangjiang government, he could get a very good starting point, without any historical burden, and with the Green Channel, it would be much easier to distribute in the country. Because even the three major cinemas had to bow down to the SARFT. In addition, the foundation of Xiangjiang's film and television industry was very good. There were many people in the industry, including directors, actors, cameramen, makeup artists, props artists, and other film and television-related professionals. Xiangjiang had already formed a very mature operating system. Also, the salary of the local actors in Xiangjiang was generally lower than that in China. This was also one of the main reasons why many Xiangjiang actors liked to go to the mainland to film and appear on programs. Of course, there were also disadvantages to developing in Xiangjiang. That was, the culture and social atmosphere of Xiangjiang were quite different from that of the mainland. If one could not adapt to it, the loss would outweigh the gain. Finally, what Wan Xiaoquan's friend didn't say was that going to Xiangjiang to start a new life was the best choice for Wan Xiaoquan, because no one would care about his past there, and he could live a more relaxed life. All of these made Lu Qin really tempted. The benefits of going to Xiangjiang were obvious. As for how to integrate into the local people of Xiangjiang, it was not a big problem for Lu Qin. He could speak fluent Cantonese. Because Su Bo was a native of Cantonese, he could also sing Cantonese songs very well. There was no barrier in communicating with the people of Xiangjiang who mainly spoke Cantonese. Lu Qin thought for a moment and said to Wan Xiaoquan, "Teacher Wan, how about this? I'll register a movie studio in Xiangjiang first, and then you can go there first to help me support the stall and prepare for this movie." It was impossible for Lu Qin to open a company to make a movie now. In fact, there was no prearrangement in his plan for this year. In the next half of the year, he would release a new album and hold his own solo concert. It had been nearly a year since the release of Lu Chen's debut album, You Who Sat Next to Me. Many fans were looking forward to his second album. In the past year, Lu Chen had also accumulated enough works, so there was no problem in releasing a new album. Most importantly, he now also had a high-end recording studio and a professional music team. If he didn't release a new album, when would he? After releasing the second album, he would hold a solo concert at the end of the year and push his singing career to a new peak, which was also in Lu Chen's plan. There had always been a popular saying in the pop music world, that is, a singer who has not held a special concert is not a real star. For example, Chen Fei had been in the industry for more than 10 years, and she had held countless concerts. If she hadn't been shooting with Lu Qin, she would have had a concert last year, which had been delayed until this year. It was also imperative to hold a concert, and it was certainly not enough. It was necessary to tour several major cities. With all these things, Lu Qin had no time to run to Xiangjiang to prepare a movie studio, and Lu Shi was also not free. But if he missed this opportunity, if there were any changes in the policy in the future, it would be too late to plot at that time. The so-called opportunity would not come again. In this way, asking Wan Xiaoquan to come out of retirement was undoubtedly a very good choice. Let him go to Xiangjiang first, familiarize himself with the local situation, recruit useful talents, and occupy the pit firmly. At that time, it would be much easier for Lu Qin to go there. Treating people with sincerity, Lu Qin clearly told his thoughts to Wan Xiaoquan. As for his choice, Lu Qin would respect it. Wan Shaoquan did not hesitate. Only after losing something would he know how to cherish it. This time he had the opportunity to go to Xiangjiang to start anew, which was an opportunity and a challenge for him. Maybe he would face all kinds of difficulties, but that was precisely the meaning of life. The most terrible thing was not the difficulties, but the slow decay in silence. As long as there were movies to shoot, Wan Shaoquan did not mind working for Lu Chen at all. Moreover, Lu Chen's attitude towards creation was not comparable to those who only wanted to make money. In his heart, he was very grateful to Lu Chen. How could the icing on the cake compare to charcoal in snowy weather? It was just that Wan Shaoquan was an introverted person. He would not show his gratitude on his face all the time. He would use actual work and achievements to repay Lu Chen's investment. Just like that, the matter was settled. Of course, Wan Shaoquan could not leave immediately. Lu Chen still had to give him 1 or 2 reliable assistants. In addition, he had to prepare the funds for the establishment of the Xiangjiang studio. He needed to discuss and solve these with Lu Shi. And now the most important thing for Lu Chen was the hit Full House of Romance. On July 29th, the 7th and 8th episodes of Full House of Romance were broadcast. Chapter 402. A week ago, Full House of Romance premiered in Beijing and Zhejiang Satellite TV. 6 episodes were broadcast for 3 days in a row, and the ratings jumped from 1.13% to 1.75%. The increase was amazing, and it also caused a lot of response among the audience. This urban emotional TV series took the route of comedy and romance. In Lu Chen's dream world, the original work opened the prelude to the transformation from tragedy to comedy of Korean TV series. It was a milestone work of Korean TV series. The original work's premiere in South Korea broke through 34% of the ratings. The average rating of the whole series was 31.9%, and the highest rating reached 47%. After that, it was broadcast in more than 13 countries, such as China, the United States, and Japan, and achieved good results. Now, Lu Chen has remade the adaptation, enriching the plot and characters, and even deepening and modifying the characters of the male and female protagonists, completely making up for the defects of the original work, and the degree of excitement is much better than the original work. So Lu Chen confidently shouted the words, flat 3 high 4. And the performance of Full House of Romance did not disappoint him. In just 6 episodes, it overturned Shonen TV's Sea of Love, showing an unparalleled momentum. On July 29th, the 7th and 8th episodes of Full House of Romance were broadcast, with a rating of 1.97% and 2.25% respectively. This kind of stable and frightening increase is simply terrible, because most TV series will show irregular curve fluctuations in the ratings, and it is really rare to see a continuous straight line rise like Full House of Romance. At this time, even those who are biased against Lu Chen have to admit that he has succeeded again, and is likely to create new records and results. In South Korea, the ratings of Full House of Romance have exceeded 30%, and KGS has increased its publicity efforts for this. On the internet, there are more and more fans of Full House of Romance. The number of fans on Wave's blog has exceeded the 1 million mark, and the popularity of related posts and forums has remained high. Lu Chen, who plays the big star protagonist, and Chen Fei, who plays the online female writer, have once again gained a wave of fans with the help of this TV series, becoming the most popular couple on the domestic screen at present. The delicate shooting style, the beautiful exotic atmosphere, the interlocking storyline, the handsome and determined male protagonist, and the beautiful female protagonist, who is a little silly, jointly interpret a moving story full of warmth and romance. Completely contrary to the bitter sadomasochism of Autumn in My Heart, this TV series is aimed at making people happy. The characters in the story have a lot of humorous dialogue, and many wonderful sentences have quickly spread on the internet. The audience is the most realistic. The remote control is in their hands. Watching a TV series that has been shot with more than 100 million investment, and it has been shot with countless efforts in time, there is no reason for them to directly change the channel if they feel it is not to their liking. But they were also the most selfless. When they saw a drama they liked, they would take the initiative to recommend it to their friends and family. They would even argue with those who opposed it on the internet. The extreme development of the information network has made it very easy to spread this kind of evaluation from the audience. QQ, Feishin, blogs, BBS. One person's opinion can easily be seen by tens of thousands of people. The reputation of Full House of Romance has been fermenting over time. The increase in the ratings is completely natural, and the potential is infinite. It's just that the rise of a winner is often stepping on the bones of countless losers. Full House of Romance is undoubtedly Shonen TV's Sea of Love as a stepping stone. It's very interesting to say that Shonen TV originally premiered Sea of Love first and competed head-on with Full House of Romance in the ratings. Their purpose was to step on the ladder and prove that they are worthy of being the king of the summer slot. The momentum of the premiere of Sea of Love is very good. The production quality of this TV series is actually not bad. However, as a tragedy that follows the trend, its biggest tragedy is precisely that it chose to fight head-on with Full House of Romance. Shonen TV has not realized that the audience's appreciation tastes are changing. They are wishful thinking that they can replicate the success of Autumn in My Heart. They are superstitious about their own successful publicity and hype. They stubbornly and arrogantly refuse to believe that Lu Chen's Full House of Romance is a strong opponent. In their view, only Full House of Romance avoids the edge of Sea of Romance. There is absolutely no reason for Sea of Romance to retreat from Full House of Romance. But the market has ruthlessly educated them, slapping the faces of those who advocate Sea of Romance and belittle Full House of Romance. On July 30th, the 9th and 10th episodes of Full House of Romance were broadcast, with ratings of 2.75% and 2.96%, respectively. The highest ratings were only 0.4% away from breaking through 3%. At the same time, Full House of Romance's ratings in South Korea broke through 35% and moved towards the 40% mark. With less than half of the episodes broadcast, Full House of Romance has become a phenomenal new TV series. It firmly occupies the top spot of all TV shows in the same period, leaving other TV series far behind. It has booked the throne of the summer ratings in advance. Unless there is a shocking reversal, it will be unshakable. In contrast, the ratings of Sea of Romance have fallen to about 1%, which is extremely embarrassing. The first few episodes of this shonen TV masterpiece are still some highlights, but in the middle, the usual nature of the melodramatic screenwriter is exposed, and it can't get rid of the pattern of Autumn in My Heart, so the audience has little expectation for the later plot, and it can't help but feel like chewing wax. The reason why it can struggle at 1% is because of the fans of many idol stars in the show. On the internet, especially in the blog of Waves, which is the main position of film and TV series publicity, the blog posts touting Sea of Romance have been greatly reduced. But anyone with a little brain knows that the show has been exhausted, and it is really stupid to continue to spend money on publicity. In the industry, there are many voices of rational discussion about the very different performance of the two TV series. Why did the magic weapon that shonen TV relied on to sweep the market fail? Why did the great change from a sad sadomasochistic drama to a romantic comedy always win the audience's favor? Has the domestic TV series reached the critical moment of seeking novelty and change? Everything is worth thinking about. In such thinking and discussion, as the leading actor of the two phenomenal dramas, Autumn in My Heart and Full House of Romance, screenwriter, producer, arranger, and other important identities, Lu Chen's status in the industry has quietly risen. He may still lack some foundation from the real big stars, but whether it is popularity or fame, he has become the top. The most important thing is that he is still very young, very young. Youth means unlimited possibilities in the future. Chapter 403. It's not easy to see you now. The soft voice with a hint of hidden bitterness coming from the mouth of a beautiful woman made people unable to bear it. But Lu Chen just smiled faintly and said, "Sorry, I've been too busy recently." Today in his own studio, he had already received 3 visitors, and the 4th visitor was the general manager of Light Rain Media, Miss Su Qingmei. Lu Chen was not perfunctory. Since the ratings of the new drama, Full House of Romance, exceeded 3%, the number of media who came to visit or called for interviews suddenly increased. Various film and television entertainment companies and agencies came one after another, and there were even more institutional investors. Lu Shi, who was the general manager of the studio and Lu Chen's agent, couldn't even use 3 mobile phones. It was too late to deal with all kinds of people who came to the door, so she grabbed him from home to share the pressure. Su Qingmei had contacted Lu Chen several times, and today she finally caught him. The general manager of Light Rain Media had a very complicated heart. Just over a year ago, she looked at Lu Chen with a completely condescending attitude. At that time, Lu Chen was just a small singer in Forget Grass Bar, no different from thousands of newcomers in the capital. However, a year later, now Lu Chen had reached the point where she needed to look up to him. She had to make an appointment several times to see him, as if the identity of the 2 sides had been reversed. Of course, Su Qingmei's identity was not so low, but she came to find Lu Chen because she had something to ask. "I know you are a busy person." Su Qingmei quickly adjusted her mentality and said straightforwardly, "Our company recently signed a newcomer, who is very talented. I want to ask you to write a single for her." Lu Chen readily agreed, "Okay, I'll arrange a time for her to come over and meet me." In the film and television industry, Lu Chen, who only had 2 works, was not a real big star, but in the pop music industry, he was worthy of being the best singer, and his works were enough to overshadow any of his peers. For example, in the currently popular Full House of Romance, Lu Chen wrote a theme song and 2 interludes, which quickly made it to the original music chart. No one could doubt his talent in pop music. And Lu Chen was also the highest-priced songwriter in the circle. The sky-high price of 500,000 for a work set a record, which also greatly increased the treatment of his peers. Although the price tag was jaw-dropping, there was still an endless stream of entertainment agencies and singers who came to invite Lu Chen for songs, because his works were equivalent to bestsellers and were completely worth the money. It's just that it's not easy to ask Lu Chen to write a song now. He basically writes a song in 10 days on average. The invitations are almost at the end of the year. If you want to jump the queue, you have to rely on your relationship. Su Qingmei was here to cut the queue. Fortunately, Lu Chen gave him a lot of face and happily agreed. His studio had a good working relationship with Light Rain Media. Light Rain Media had several newcomers that appeared in Full of Romance. Although they were not important characters, they were still considered partners. As for the Bionics, there was no need to mention it. Su Qingmei's mood immediately improved. She smiled and said, "Thank you so much. I'll treat you to dinner tonight." After a brief hesitation, Lu Chen tactfully refused, "Unfortunately, I have an appointment tonight." Su Qingmei asked sourly, "With your family's one?" The one in Lu Chen's house was naturally the beloved Miss Chen Fei. Ever since the relationship between Lu Chen and Chen Fei was made public, the heavenly queen of the music industry entered the rhythm of daily public displays of affection. From time to time, she would post photos on her blog to bully the single people. However, she did not delay her career because of this. Instead, she moved from the pop music industry to the film and television industry. Both of her TV series became the ratings champion and her popularity continued to rise. Who knew how many people in the industry were envious and jealous? In the beginning, some people said that Lu Qin was lucky to have a relationship with the Heavenly Queen and that he could live off a woman. But now, who could say that? Su Qingmei sometimes thought that if she had taken down Lu Qin at all costs when Lu Qin had just emerged, what would Light Rain Media be like now? In fact, Light Rain Media was a small temple that could not accommodate such a great god. Lu Qin did not expect Su Qingmei to think so much. He nodded and replied, "Yes, let's go together next time." During this period of time, Chen Fei was busier than him. She first went to Korea and then there was a domestic endorsement event. She signed a contract and had to attend all of them. Today, she had just returned to Beijing. Therefore, Lu Qin did not want anyone to disturb their date tonight. Okay then, Su Qingmei was not a clingy person. She put away her bag and with that strange thought in her heart, she slowly stood up and said, "Next time, I'll treat you to a drink at Forget Worries Bar. I haven't been there for a long time." Lu Qin smiled and said, "Okay." He personally sent Su Qingmei out. After sending Su Qingmei off, Lu Qin returned to his office and saw Lu Shi sitting in his seat. His sister held a piece of paper in her hand and warned Lu Qin, "This Chief Su is a little bit interested in you. You have to know your limits and don't cause any scandals." Lu Shi and Su Qingmei had met a few times and knew each other, but her sister was not very interested in this charming woman. Lu Qin did not know whether to laugh or cry. "Sister, what are you talking about?" He remembered that Lu Shi had warned him once before. He did not expect her to mention it again. Was Su Qingmei interested in him? Lu Qin didn't see it, and he wouldn't think too much about it. Moreover, he already had Chen Fei and his career. Lu Shi curled her lips. "It's fine as long as you know what you're doing." She waved the paper in her hand and said, "These are the media that have made appointments to interview you. There are also the program invitations from various TV stations. Whether you want to go or not, it's up to you." Lu Qin took it and looked at it. He felt that his head was getting bigger. There were dozens of densely listed on it. Beijing Television, Zhejiang Satellite TV, Shanghai Satellite TV, Haijin Satellite TV, QQ, Chaolu, EasyNet, Entertainment Weekly, New Youth Daily. Lu Shi had obviously filtered out the small media, otherwise the number would have been at least several times higher. These big media were not easy to offend, but if he agreed to all of them, he would probably have to split himself into several pieces. Otherwise, he would not be able to do anything else. Looking at Lu Chen's frowning face, his sister was in a good mood. "Oh, you can study it slowly. Say hello to Fei for me tonight." Lu Qin nodded weakly. Chapter 404. The road that the wind blows is still far away. Where is your story? In the recording studio, Lu Qin, who was wearing a huge monitoring headset, finished singing the last sentence of The Ordinary Road. He opened his eyes again and saw Wang Hui giving him a thumbs up through the thick glass. Lu Qin smiled, gave Wang Hui a thumbs up, and then took off the headset. He was recording his second album. After careful consideration, The Ordinary Road would be the title song of the new album. So far, more than half of it had been completed, and it was expected to be on the market at the end of August. For Lu Qin, it felt really good to be back in the recording studio again. Nowadays, Lu Qin did not lack fame or fortune. His work life was busy and fulfilling, shooting TV shows, endorsing advertisements, and participating in various activities. But only here could he find his original love for music. The closed recording studio was isolated from all noise. Standing inside, he could hear his heartbeat and the sound of blood flowing. When the familiar accompaniment music sounded in the headset, he just wanted to sing. Most importantly, this was Lu Chen's own recording studio. There were no restrictions, and he could pursue perfection unscrupulously. In just a day or two, Lu Chen found the right feeling. The recording of one song after another was very smooth, and he could not stop. But that was enough for today. Thank you for your hard work. Lu Chen walked out of the recording studio and said to Wang Hui, who was sitting in front of the tuning console, "Go to Meijing World tonight and spend as much as you want with my card." Meijing World was a food city in the business district near the New Era Art Park. It gathered delicious food and snacks from all over the world. The food was cheap and the business was excellent. After Lu Chen's studio moved here, Lucy applied for 2 prepaid membership cards in Meijing World. From time to time, she would take everyone to have a sumptuous meal, which could be regarded as a small benefit of the studio. In the past few days, Wang Hui has also worked hard. He is often busy until late at night. Although Lu Chen is not in a hurry to release his second album, for this technical otaku, being idle seems to be like a sin. Taking the membership card from Lu Chen, Wang Hui said shyly, "Thank you, boss." He added, "Next week, I'll definitely finish it." Lu Chen smiled and said, "Actually, you don't have to rush. It's okay to take it slow. Just do your best." Wang Hui said without hesitation, "That's a must. This album will definitely surpass You Who Sat Next to Me." Lu Chen's debut solo album, You Who Sat Next to Me, was also recorded by Wang Hui, but at that time, Wang Hui was still using his own recording studio and equipment, which was completely incomparable to what he has now. The renovation and equipment of Lu Chen Studios' recording studio cost nearly 10 million yuan. Although it couldn't be compared with the top sheds, it was definitely at the first-class level in China. For Wang Hui, who is obsessed with professionalism, letting him independently take charge of such a recording studio built completely according to his own ideals is like a mouse being transferred to a rice jar, which is extremely satisfying. Under such circumstances, Wang Hui can't tolerate any slack or relaxation in his work. He can only use his hardest work to repay Lu Chen's trust and support. Lu Chen smiled and patted Wang Hui on the shoulder. "Drink some water." At this time, a bottle of mineral water was handed to Lu Chen. "Thank you." Lu Chen took it, unscrewed the cap, took 2 sips and asked, "When did you come?" It was Wang Jing who handed him the water. Wang Jing blinked and replied, "I just came, Yang and the others are outside." At the beginning of the year, Lu Chen took over the original Nirvana studios and reformed the Nirvana band. After the Nirvana band settled in their new home in Lu Chen's studio, under the arrangement of Lu Chen, in addition to the usual tasks of accompaniment and following the performance, they also went to other places, such as Forget Grass Bar. Especially during the period when Lu Chen was busy shooting TV series, the Nirvana band spent most of their time running in addition to practicing, using this to constantly improve their ability level, maintain and temper their own skill level. As for the remuneration of the Nirvana band for running the venue, Lu Chen's studio did not take a penny. In this way, the Nirvana band is not only loyal to Lu Chen, but also their progress is very obvious. The quality of the accompaniment of Lu Chen's new album is much better than that of You Who Sat Next to Me. In the Nirvana band, Wang Jing is the well-deserved soul. She is the arranger, lead singer and guitarist. The harmony of several songs in Lu Chen's new album was also completed by Wang Jing. Lu Chen said with a smile, "That's just right. You can go to beautiful world together and let everyone have a good meal." Wang Jing asked, "Aren't you going?" Lu Chen shook his head, "I have an appointment with Fei, tonight. She just came back." Wang Jing nodded silently and suddenly said, "We are not going to go out for a while and concentrate on practicing your works. I want to rearrange several songs and make a live version." Lu Chen has plans to hold his own solo concert at the end of the year, and the Nirvana band will definitely participate in the whole process. It is rare for a singer's concert to be accompanied by a live band, and it is very low. Lu Qin said with a smile, that's fine. It's estimated that it will be at least November. By the way, he asked Wang Jing, have you ever thought about releasing your own band's single or album? Ah. Wang Jing was obviously not prepared for Lu Chen's question and was stunned. Nirvana band's own album. For a long time, whether it is Wang Jing or the others in the Nirvana band, they have positioned themselves as Lu Chen's exclusive band and the studio's professional band. They have never thought of releasing a band album. Because they are working for Lu Chen. On the contrary, Wang Hui reacted faster and asked hesitantly, Boss, can we do it? Wang Hui is also a member of the Nirvana band, but he belongs to the non-staff and can only play when needed. Lu Chen said with a smile, why not? The studio has all the conditions. Think about it yourself. He looked at the time and said, I'll go first. You all go to dinner. Wang Jing looked at the background of Lu Chen's departure. She bit her lip and her eyes flashed with a complicated light. Wang Hui said cautiously, Sister, actually, before he finished speaking, he was knocked on the head by Wang Jing. Actually what? Let's go. Wang Hui could only hold back the words he wanted to say with tears in his eyes. He had to be glad that he didn't say it, otherwise he would probably be unable to take care of himself. Although Wang Hui is a homebody, he is not stupid. Chapter 405. There were 5 to 6 wooden tables and dozens of dining chairs in the courtyard of a shabby house in the depths of an old alley. This was Master Chen's private kitchen. The tables were a little old. The paint was dark, but it was wiped clean. The dining chairs were almost the same. However, they were a little shaky when sitting on them. People were worried that they would directly collapse. Of course, it was impossible to turn on the air conditioner in the open-air courtyard. There was an electric fan in the corner. It blew and swayed from side to side, sending cool air to drive away the heat of summer. Compared with those formal restaurants, the environment here was definitely terrible. However, the customers who came one after another didn't eat the environment, but the taste. Lu Chen hadn't been here for a long time, but nothing had changed here. He came with Chen Fei. Master Chen's private kitchen had always had a good business. It didn't accept reservations. If you wanted a table in the small courtyard, you had to come early or late. Lu Chen and Chen Fei came at 7 o'clock in the evening. It was just past the peak time for dinner, so they didn't need to wait for a table. They ordered braised lion's head, 3 sets of duck, squirrel mandarin fish, boiled shredded dried meat, and 2 baskets of crab meat buns. These were authentic Huaiyang dishes, which were Lu Chen's favorite dishes and Master Chen's signature dishes. The braised lion's head, which had been simmering in the clay pot for a long time, was served first. Big lion's head was in the pot. The thick red sauce was steaming hot, and the fragrance was very tempting. Lu Chen used chopsticks and a spoon to pick up a small piece for Chen Fei. The latter carefully ate a few mouthfuls and couldn't help but show a surprised expression. It's delicious. Lu Chen smiled and said, that's good. I was afraid that you wouldn't like it. Today, Chen Fei had just returned to the capital. The two hadn't seen each other for a while, so they made an appointment to have dinner together in the evening. For some reason, Lu Chen suddenly thought of Master Chen's private chef, so he brought Chen Fei to this old place on the 3rd Ring Road to have a sumptuous meal. A bottle of red wine that cost tens of thousands of yuan and a steak that cost thousands of yuan could certainly bring enjoyment to the taste buds, but beer that cost a few yuan and braised meatballs that cost tens of yuan were not inferior at all. How could that be? Chen Fei shook his head and said, of course I would like such delicious food. Besides, the most important thing about eating is not what you eat, but who you eat with. There was a smile on her face, and her eyes were as gentle as water, intoxicating. Lu Chen hadn't drunk yet, so he was a little tipsy. Although it was the same dish, the taste was really different, more delicious. I used to live in a basement near here, and Li Feiyu was my neighbor. Lu Chen told Chen Feier about the past. When it's time to get paid, we come here to have a meal to satisfy our cravings. I like the braised meatballs made by Master Chen the most. I really want to eat it today. Chen Feier listened quietly, then ate a few mouthfuls of food, and put more food in Lu Chen's bowl. The dinner was very heartwarming. When Lu Chen was about to pay the bill and leave, several girls walked over hesitantly. One of them asked, Excuse me, you are Lu Chen, Chen Feier, right? Not knowing whether it was because of excitement or nervousness, her face was flushed. Several girls were also eating here, and then they noticed Lu Chen and Chen Feier sitting not far away. At first, they didn't dare to rashly disturb them, but now they finally mustered up the courage to do so. Lu Chen and Chen Feier looked at each other and smiled. Both of them wore sunglasses when they came, and of course they took them off when eating, so it was normal for them to be recognized. Lu Chen smiled and said, Yes, hello. Hello. The girl who got a friendly response was even more excited. Can we take a photo together? I'm your fan. Lu Chen nodded, of course. He had met many fans now, and as long as the time was right, he would satisfy all requests for photos and autographs. Yay! The little girl was so happy that she immediately jumped to Lu Chen's side, hugged his arm, and then made a victory sign to her companions, and smiled like a blooming spring flower. Her companions had already taken out their mobile phones and were snapping a few photos in a row. Then they took one after another, and of course, they also took a few photos with Chen Feier, and quickly posted them on their WeChat moments. Lu Chen and Chen Feier patiently accompanied them to finish the selfie. The two of them were very consistent when it came to treating their fans, unlike some celebrities who took the cold route and always ignored their fans. So the fans of both of them were very united. After taking the photos, Lu Chen quickly pulled Chen Feier away, because there were other guests in the small courtyard watching. If other people were to come over to watch, it would be a little difficult to escape. Ah Xian's car was waiting at the entrance of the alley outside, and Lu Chen asked her to send him and Chen Feier to Hohai. I'm so full tonight. Hand in hand as they strolled along the lake, Chen Feier happily complained, At least I've gained more than half a kilo. Lu Chen laughed, How much do you weigh? It doesn't matter if you gain a kilo. Chen Feier paid a lot of attention to maintaining her figure, and insisted on doing yoga every day, so her weight was the perfect standard. Chen Feier asked, Then do you like the fat me or the thin me? Lu Chen said, I like you, I don't care if you're fat or thin. Chen Feier laughed, Sweet words and honeyed words, you only know how to coax me. Although she said that, she still smiled sweetly. After walking for a while, the two of them sat down on a bench by the side of the road, staring at the distant lights and sparkling waves. Chen Feier hugged Lu Chen's waist, leaning half of her body in his arms. She softly hummed. The most romantic thing I can think of is to slowly grow old with you. Collecting bits and pieces of laughter along the way, leaving it for later, sitting on a rocking chair and slowly chatting. The most romantic thing I can think of is to slowly grow old with you. Until we're too old to go anywhere, you still think of me as a treasure in your hands. The song, The Most Romantic Thing, she sang was the second interlude written by Lu Chen for Full House of Romance. Together with another interlude song, Only for You, sung by Lu Chen, they were currently ranked 3rd and 7th on the original music chart. This was a delicate and gentle love song. It was warm and romantic, expressing a little woman's view of happiness through melody and lyrics. Therefore, it quickly became popular after it was broadcast on the TV series. The official version of the song, Full of Romance, released by the official V account had already broken the 10 million download mark. But for Lu Chen, whether it was the interlude on TV or the official version, it was far less touching than Chen Feier's soft humming at this moment. He held his lover in his arms, as if he had the whole world. Note, the most romantic thing, lyrics, Ya Ruolong / composer, Li Jingfan. Chapter 406. Following the ratings of the 11th and 12th episodes of Full House of Romance, on July 31st, the ratings of the 13th and 14th episodes, which were broadcast on August 5th, reached 3.45% and 3.56% respectively, getting closer and closer to Lu Chen's stated goal. At this time, even people with stubborn prejudices have to admit that Lu Chen's second TV series has achieved more success than Autumn in My Heart and is bound to lead the domestic TV market again. A tragedy of sadomasochism, a romantic comedy, Lu Chen seems to have a pair of eyes that can see through people's hearts. He is always able to grasp the audience's preferences and create one miracle after another. However, the success of Full House of Romance has also made Shonen TV's Sea of Love fall into an extremely embarrassing situation. Its 15th and 16th episodes, which were broadcast on August 5th, finally fell below 1%. Why did they use the word finally? That was because on Waves' blog, Lu Chen's fans were eagerly looking forward to Sea of Love falling through the bottom line. The comments section of Hu Yang's blog was flooded with 1% messages. It was simply what everyone expected. This made Shonen TV, which had made a vigorous publicity campaign before the broadcast of Sea of Love, very embarrassed. The marketing methods that were originally aimed at Full House of Romance were now all turned around and slapped in the face. It didn't matter if they were slapped in the face. Anyway, Shonen TV has always been very thick-skinned. However, Sea of Love, which had a huge investment, had a rating of 1%, which was very terrible. Someone had to be responsible for such a bad situation, right? So the industry soon had news that the crew member who advocated head-on with Full House of Romance had been transferred, and Sea of Love was likely to change its broadcast time. Now it seemed that if Sea of Love had not fought head-on with Full House of Romance, the ratings would not have fallen to such a point. Since there was no place to buy medicine for regret, they could only make up for it. Sea of Love, which had been hyped up in full swing, failed to step on Full House of Romance. Instead, it was trampled by Full House of Romance. Naturally, the evaluation of Lu Chen in the industry reached a new height. If the success of his first drama, Autumn in My Heart, was due to luck, then the popularity of Full House of Romance could only mean that he was so strong. Because no one could rely on luck to continuously create miracles. On the evening of August 8th, Lu Chen participated in the talk show, National Star, on the popular radio station FM 103.6. Pop Radio is a first-class commercial radio station and online radio station in China. It takes into account both traditional and new media. The programs cover film and television, music, digital, fashion, travel, food, and other content that young people like. Whether it is radio or online, there are many listeners. On the other hand, Star of the Whole People was a celebrity talk show launched by the popular radio station a few years ago. Its listenership was quite high and it had a certain influence in the industry. Therefore, after receiving an invitation from a pop radio station, Lu Chen did not refuse to appear on this program. The live broadcast began at 7:30 p.m. at the pop radio station's headquarters in Beijing. Good evening to the listeners in front of the radio, and good evening to the netizens. This is the popular radio station, FM 103.6. Welcome, everyone, to Star of the Whole People program. I am Damin. I am Xiao Xing. The two hosts of Star of the Whole People were a man and a woman. Their stage names, Damin and Xiao Xing, were quite famous. They had millions of fans on Waves. Damin was about 30 years old. He wore glasses and looked gentle. His voice was clear and clean, and he spoke humorously. His partner, Xiao Xing, was much younger. She had fair and beautiful long hair, and she had a pleasant and moving voice. Demin was the first to introduce, "Tonight, star of the whole people, we have invited a famous singer-songwriter, a famous screenwriter, and a famous actor. And they are actually the same person." Xiao Xing smiled and continued, "He is teacher Lu Qin. Everyone, please welcome him." The sound effects of the applause sounded, and Lu Qin said into the microphone, "Good evening, everyone. I am Lu Qin. It's a pleasure to chat with the two hosts on the pop radio station." Xiao Xing said, "First of all, I would like to congratulate Lu Qin. Full House of Romance, which was written, created, and starred in by Lu Qin, broke through 4% in the ratings last night, setting a record for the same type of TV series in the past decade." Demin said, "Congratulations, Lu Qin." Lu Qin said with a smile, "Thank you." The 18th episode of Full House of Romance, which was broadcast on the evening of August 7th, broke through 4% in the ratings, reaching 4.6%. Although the industry had long expected this result, when it really happened, it still caused a heated discussion. It became the headline of many entertainment media, and it once again attracted a wave of attention. For more than a decade, the domestic TV series market had developed rapidly. The number of TV series shot every year continued to increase, showing a thriving trend. However, it was also accompanied by fierce competition and the phenomenon of blindly following the trend. This was especially true for TV series with urban themes. Idol dramas and youth dramas were popular. In terms of theme and style, they mainly imitated Japanese and Korean dramas. Although there were more TV series, the average ratings were constantly declining. Many people attributed this to the impact of the internet on TV. As the main audience of idol dramas and youth dramas, young people had many choices for entertainment, and they preferred Japanese, Korean, and American dramas. This view had always existed. However, the success of Autumn in My Heart and Full House of Romance suddenly made everyone realize that in fact, domestic TV series also had great potential. Success did not depend on hype, scandals, or arguments, but creativity and sincerity. As a domestic TV series, the ratings of Full House of Romance in South Korea had exceeded 40%, far ahead of other local Korean TV series in the same period, causing the Korean media to cry wolf. Full House of Romance, which still had 7 episodes to go, had become a real phenomenon. The two hosts of Stars of the Nation naturally could not avoid this topic, so they first flattered it. Then, they changed the topic to the male and female leads. Little Star said, "I have a listener here called Tainik Attic. He said he would like to know, Teacher Lu Qin, who was the first to pursue Qin Fei when you were in love?" When she asked Lu Qin, the host had a smile on her face. Obviously, she also wanted to know the answer. Stars of the Nation was a real live program. Radio listeners could interact with the host or the celebrities being interviewed through the hotline, while netizens could leave messages on the live website, and then the host would filter out the questions. This question was a little interesting. Chapter 407. Who chased who first? This question made Lu Qin recall how he and Qin Fei first met, became familiar with each other, and fell in love. A faint smile appeared on his face. Xiao Xing suddenly felt jealous. Lu Qin was very young, tall, handsome, and had a perfect image. He also had outstanding talent and a bright future. A person like him was undoubtedly the dream lover of many girls, but he was already taken. How lucky was it to be able to win Lu Qin's love? However, the person he loved was an existence that not many women could compete with. It really made people feel powerless to be jealous, and they did not even have the slightest confidence to compete. Lu Chen thought for a moment and replied, "Actually, no one took the initiative to chase who first. How should I put it? You met someone at a certain time and place, fell in love, and then the other person also fell in love with you, and the two of them naturally got together. This is basically my love story." Lu Chen's answer cleverly avoided the question of who was chasing who, and it was impeccable, making it impossible for people to solve the problem. Otherwise, whether he said that he or Chen Fei chased first, it would be a laughingstock. "Yes, a very beautiful love." Demin nodded, his eyes landing on the tablet screen. "There's another question." A Pink Peach listener asked, "Lu Chen, is Chen Fei your first girlfriend? If not, what was the reason for the breakup?" The host had a smile on his face, and he looked a little mischievous. "This question seems a little sensitive, of course, you don't have to answer." Although he said he did not have to answer, he actually wanted Lu Chen to answer. Since it was sensitive, why ask? Lu Chen knew that the host had to create a highlight, and the host's limits were not too much. Of course, he did not have to answer, but avoiding the question would inevitably make people think that he had a guilty conscience and had some unbearable past. Therefore, answering such a question was better than not answering, and the key was how to answer it. He smiled and said, "When I was in school, I fell in love like many people, but we broke up in the end. As for the reason, I think, at that time, we were still too young to understand love." Demin and Little Star looked at each other and saw admiration in each other's eyes. Stars of the Nation had been on air for 2 years and had invited many celebrities. In the past, they had also talked about love, but there weren't many who could give such a meaningful answer like Lu Chen. Lu Chen was very young, but he seemed to have a deep understanding of love, as if he had already experienced the vicissitudes of life. What he brought to the two of them was really a wonderful feeling. At this moment, in the live broadcast room of the popular radio station, Citizen Star, the listeners started to flood the screen. Due to the preview of the program and the recent explosion of Lu Chen's popularity, the number of viewers listening to the popular radio station's live webcast was very high. As of now, it had exceeded 1.2 million and was still increasing. Such a popularity index was really rare in the past radio broadcasts of Stars of the Nation. I want to say that I'm not one of the many people who have never been in a relationship after graduating from university. Never talked about it +1. We broke up when we graduated from university. Now that I think about it, I really want to cry. Yes, we didn't understand love when we were young. I'm very curious who Lu Chen's first girlfriend is. Do you think she is also listening to this program? Lu Chen, I want to hear you sing a song about love. I want to hear a song plus 10,000. The comments of these online listeners would be reflected on the screen in the broadcasting room in real time. The host, Little Star, smiled and said, "So many listeners have said that they want to hear you sing a song about love. What do you think?" Lu Chen did not refuse. Of course. Before going on the program, it was said that there would be a live singing segment, but it was just brought forward. Even the guitar had been prepared. Lu Chen took the guitar from the radio station staff and held it in his arms to test the tone. After building up his mood, he said into the microphone, "This song is for love, it's called, Because of Love." His voice turned into radio waves and signals, instantly transmitted thousands of miles away and into the boundless online world. There was also the sound of the piano and singing. "I'll give you a CD of the past, listen to our love at that time. Sometimes I suddenly forget that I'm still in love with you. I can't sing that kind of song anymore, although I often forget that I'm still in love with you. Because love is not easily sad, therefore, everything seemed to be blissful. Because love grows simply, can still be crazy for you at any time." Gently plucking the strings, Lu Chen sang this song, Because of Love, from shallow to deep, as if he was telling his own love story, telling those sweet, warm, and romantic stories. His simple playing and singing were like the simplest confession. There was a tinge of sadness in it, but it was full of deep nostalgia. It easily aroused people's desire for love from the bottom of their hearts. It was sincere and exquisite. Because how can love have vicissitudes, so we're still young? Because love is in that place, there are still people wandering there, people coming and going. This song was originally a duet between a man and a woman, but Lu Chen slightly changed it to a solo. But what didn't change was the beautiful melody and touching lyrics. He chose this song not to find the feeling of first love again, but to treat his love with a more mature state of mind. Chen Fei should also be listening to this program, and he believed that she could understand his heart. As the audience at the scene, the hosts of National Star, Damin and Little Star, listened very seriously and were very moved. Little Star even listened with red eyes. She was deeply moved by this song, because of love. In the online live broadcast room, the rolling comments never stopped. Because of love, I really, really want to be in love again. Why does it sound so good? 55555, I want to cry listening to it. As a single dog, I feel deeply hurt, and I don't want to listen to it anymore. Lu Chen's songs are really getting better and better. I like this love song. Lu Chen, I love you. At that time, sighing, sad, admiring, expressing love. Thousands of comments became the footnotes of this song. As Lu Chen finished playing and singing. Paw. 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 There was applause in the broadcasting room of the pop radio station, applause from the two hosts. Tonight's program was already a success with this song. Because of love. Note, because of love, lyricist/composer, Little Ku. Chapter 408. Jiangcheng West District, Flying Dragon Internet Cafe. It was already late at night, but the smoky internet cafe was still filled to the brim. There weren't many empty seats. Wang Pu took a deep breath of the Red 5 cigarette in his mouth and smoked the last bit of tobacco. Then, he reluctantly pressed the cigarette butt into the ashtray. The next moment, he puffed out the smoke, straightened his back and opened his arms, looking energetic. Wang Pu opened the QQ group skillfully, his fingers flying on the keyboard. Brothers, get ready to vote. The same content was quickly copied to the other two groups. The group members responded immediately. Don't worry, group owner. My 15 recommendation votes are dying. Just waiting for 12 o'clock. 2 Vs, 9 tickets. I will buy them all this week. You guys get ready, I will send some tips first. Damn, Taheo, you are here too. Please hug my leg, please whip me. You must get on the recommendation list on the homepage. Looking at the comments that flashed across the screen, Wang Pu felt his blood boiling. He felt like he was commanding an army of thousands of men and horses to charge and break through enemy lines. Just after 12 o'clock, he pressed the confirm button in the voting column and gave all the 7 recommendation votes to the smiling, the proud wanderer. After 12 o'clock, it will be Monday, and according to the rules of Immerse books, the hit list, recommendation list, and gift list on the home page will be reset and refreshed, so this is the best time to grab a prominent position on the list. As a loyal fan of the smiling, proud wanderer and the owner of the group of 3,000 readers of the smiling, proud wanderer, Wang Pu had been planning this action for several days. He had mobilized a large number of members in the group, as well as the book bar and the forum. Wang Pu had been suppressing his anger. The Smiling, the Proud Wanderer was first released on Waves on May 27th, and it had been updated for more than 2.5 months until August 14th. The number of updated words had reached more than 400,000. Clicks, 235,600, recommendations, 225647, Favorites, 6690. Comments, 23,690. Without any recommendation, it was a small miracle that the smiling, the proud wanderer could get such a result. The click-through ratio was close to 1:1, which beat many books on the list. However, with such a good result, the smiling, the proud wanderer was still unsigned. It seemed that Waves didn't even care about the existence of the smiling, the proud wanderer. Wang Pu felt deeply insulted that he couldn't even sign a contract with such a good book. Since he discovered this martial arts novel on Immerse Books, he quickly became a loyal fan, and reading it twice a day has become a habit of his life. As the number of words increased, the story of the smiling, the proud wanderer was getting better and better. The exciting plots made him unable to stop. There were several times when he wanted to save a few chapters to read, but when it came to the end, he clicked on the webpage as if he was possessed. This made Wang Pu curious about the author of the smiling, the proud wanderer. He tried to contact him many times through text messages, but there was no response. In Wang Pu's opinion, Memories of Present and Ancient should be a talented and capable writer who did not understand the rules of online literature. Other than diligently updating daily, he did not know how to interact with readers and did not advertise himself. He was like an old ox that silently plowed the land. But it didn't matter. Wang Pu created several reader groups and advertised in the book review section and Taobao forum to attract people. He managed to unite a large number of old-buy readers who also liked the book. Wang Pu definitely contributed to the smiling, the proud wanderer's current success. He didn't ask for the gratitude of the smiling, the proud wanderer or anything else. He just didn't want this good book to be buried. It couldn't be buried either. Many readers felt the same as Wang Pu. They were angry about the smiling, the proud wanderer. That was why this ranking competition was born. Once the smiling, the proud wanderer was on the list, Waves couldn't continue to ignore it. Unless they were all blind. The group logo at the bottom right corner of the screen was flashing crazily. In the 3,000 reader groups of the smiling, the proud wanderer, many people were posting pictures of their achievements. The so-called pictures of achievements were screenshots of votes, including gifts. The more votes and gifts, the better it was. Because of their collective action, the smiling, the proud wanderer's weekly recommendation votes were increasing rapidly. After 10 minutes, it was at the top of the list with 3,780 votes. The three groups were instantly filled with cheers. Ha ha ha, it is at the top of the list. That's it. Yes, there is strength in numbers. Good job, everyone. It's not challenging at all. I have prepared 3 V accounts and 25 recommendation votes. It would be great if we could stand for a week. Wang Pu said hurriedly, don't be too happy. Our opponents are very strong. Those who have votes, please continue to vote. Even if we could stand for a day, it would be great. Although the smiling, the proud wanderer was at the top of the list with their efforts, it was only temporary. Those popular books on the website had far more readers. Once they started, they could easily destroy their efforts. Wang Pu chose to make use of the time difference so that the smiling, the proud wanderer could stand on the list as long as possible. His ultimate goal was to get this book signed and get a chance to recommend it. Wang Pu also believed that as long as the smiling, the proud wanderer was recommended by the website, its results would definitely soar. The group members all agreed with him. Don't worry, group leader. We won't waste our votes. I will go to other groups and ask for as many as I can. At least one day on the front page. In fact, there are not many people in the group. There will be more today. Anyway, I will give all my votes to the smiling, the proud wanderer this week. Support a good book. Support group leader. Wang Pu felt warm in his heart. He did these things not for fame or profit, but purely out of his love for the smiling, the the proud wanderer. He was really satisfied to have so many readers supporting him. After thinking for a while, Wang Pu said, "Thank you, everyone. It's late. Go to bed early. We will see the results tomorrow. Good night." Wang Pu closed the QQ group and went to the bar to pay the bill. He left the Flying Dragon Internet Cafe and ate a bowl of noodles at a nearby restaurant. Then he went back to his rented apartment and slept. Wang Pu had a dream. He dreamed that he was in the Jianghu full of swords and swords in the book. And he himself was the protagonist of the chivalrous act. Chapter 409. At 7 in the morning, Wang Pu woke up on time. He washed up in a hurry and ran to work in the morning light. This was the most important way for Wang Pu to exercise his body. Unless it was raining or snowing, he would never stop. He had breakfast in a breakfast shop not far from his office. It was still early. Wang Pu walked as usual and took out his phone from his pocket. He opened the app of Waves Books. He couldn't wait to know how the smiling, the proud wanderer was doing and whether it was pushed down from the top of the weekly recommendation list by other books. Wang Pu scrolled through the rankings. Surprisingly, he didn't see any familiar titles on the weekly recommendation list. Pushed out of the top 10 so quickly. The weekly recommendation list of Waves Books only showed the top 10. Wang Pu couldn't help feeling disappointed. But soon he found something was wrong. Because the data on the phone showed that the recommendation for the 10th place had less than 3,000 votes. How was that possible? Wang Pu remembered very clearly that in the wee hours of the morning, the smiling, the proud wanderer, was at the top of the list with 3,780 votes. How could it not be in the top 10 now? Wang Pu suddenly had a bad feeling. He hurriedly clicked on more data on the weekly recommendation list, but the name of the smiling, the proud wanderer was nowhere to be found. Wang Pu quickly took out the smiling, the proud wanderer from his bookshelf and opened it to check the data. Weekly recommendation, 0. 0 votes. Wang Pu felt like there were 10,000 alpacas galloping through his heart. His face turned red and his hair stood up. Damn it. What the F***ck? Although Wang Pu was young, he was definitely an experienced reader of online novels. He knew the rules of the literature website. He knew that it was not the website's data that was wrong, but the votes were blocked because it was considered to have been manipulated. The votes were reset to 0, and all votes were invalid within the time limit. If the smiling, the proud wanderer was really manipulated, Wang Pu would accept it. Nowadays, the website was quite strict with this kind of cheating, and the punishment was not low. As a reader, he would support it. However, these recommendation votes were cast by hundreds and thousands of readers. They were definitely not cheated. Last night, everyone had worked hard in front of the computer until 12 o'clock to vote. Now, all their hard work had gone up in smoke. How could Wang Pu be willing? The group was probably in an uproar right now. He couldn't help but speed up his pace and hurriedly came to his workplace. Before his boss came, he turned on the computer and logged in to his QQ. As Wang Pu expected, several QQ groups were already full of complaints. Does anyone know why our recommendation votes have been cleared? Holy **T, are you kidding me? Hee, books that haven't signed a contract won't be on the list. What else is there to say? This is too unfair. I want to complain. Forget it. The arm can't twist the thigh. What's the use of complaining? She doesn't even care about you. I'm so angry. Some people were confused, some were agitated, some were angry, and some were clamoring for justice. Even though the number of members online at this time was not bad, everyone was talking at once. Wang Pu clenched his teeth, his fingers tapping on the keyboard with extra force. For this matter, we have to seek an explanation from Waves Reading. Why did they remove our recommendation votes? We didn't fake our votes. It's normal for readers to vote to support their favorite books or authors. If this counts as fake votes, then there's no need for the list to exist at all. On this matter, Wang Pu was confident. How could he swallow his anger? His opinion was immediately supported by everyone. The way to seek an explanation was very simple, that is, to complain and protest through the customer service of Waves Reading. 1 or 2 complaints may not have any effect, but what if there are hundreds or thousands of people? The effect will definitely be different. The group members of the Smiling, Proud, and Smiling Wanderer readers group are still very united. Their large number of complaints and protests have also attracted the attention of Inspire Books official, because many of these readers are VIP users, and their levels are very high. In other words, they were regular subscribers. Near noon, the department head of Waves Reading, together with the channel's editor-in-chief, editor, and technical customer service staff, held a small meeting to discuss this matter. The head asked, "What's going on with the book, The Smiling, Proud Wanderer? So many people complained." The technician explained, "This book suddenly appeared on the top of the weekly list at 0:10 this morning. There's a serious suspicion of fake votes, so I blocked the votes this morning." The head frowned and asked, "Have you checked if it's really fake votes?" The technician shook his head, "Not yet. The votes are all normal, but, at this time," the channel's editor-in-chief coughed and said, "I've paid attention to this book before. It's quite good, and the theme is quite special, but the author refused to sign the contract." The supervisor furrowed his brows. "What's the reason for your refusal?" The editor-in-chief said, "He has a problem with the copyright contract, so he didn't want to sign it." So that's why, the head suddenly understood. Sometimes, the author refused to sign the contract, and it was mostly because of the contract. But it was really rare for a book like The Smiling, Proud Wanderer to appear on the homepage list without a contract. It should be known that unsigned works did not have any recommendations, so the exposure was too low. How could it compare with popular books? But understanding was one thing, but how to deal with it? The head was also a bit puzzled. It was obviously unjust to block the list, but since the author refused to sign the contract, it would not bring benefits to the website. Why would the website give the valuable homepage resources to him? After thinking about it, the head said resolutely, "Since it's blocked, let's block it to the end. Contact the author again and ask him if he is willing to sign the contract. If he is willing, then we will unblock it. What if he is still not willing?" No one asked this question, because it was not necessary. The customer service staff asked, "What about those complaints?" The head smiled and said, "Just tell them that the data of this book is abnormal, and the technology is dealing with it." In any case, he would not let The Smiling, Proud Wanderer on the homepage, otherwise it would be too embarrassing. After the meeting, the editor-in-chief contacted Remember Now and Ancient again through QQ. However, she didn't get any reply. Because at this time, Lu Chen didn't know the storm caused by The Smiling, Proud Wanderer at all. He was currently in Hangzhou. Chapter 410. On August 14, Full House of Romance ended perfectly on Beijing Television and Zhejiang Satellite TV. The 4 episodes broadcasted 2 days ago all had a viewership rating of more than 4%. By the 25th episode finale on the night of the 14th, the combined viewership rating of the 2 satellite TV stations reached 5.17%. Finally, the national average viewership rating of the popular drama steadily pulled over 3%, fully realizing and even exceeding the bold words released by Lu Chen before the broadcast. At the same time, the highest ratings of A Full House of Romance in South Korea reached 42.72%, and the average ratings of the whole drama was 32. 56%. It not only created a ratings miracle for domestic programs in South Korea, but also swept the Korean dramas of the same period, so much so that it triggered a wave of enthusiasm in South Korea's online community. At the same time, Loo Chin and Chin Fei-er's popularity in South Korea rose, becoming the most famous Chinese stars in South Korea. As for Shonen TV's Sea of Love, which originally competed with Full House of Romance in the ratings, it was ruthlessly crushed into slag in front of the ratings myth created by Full House of Romance. Although it did not change the broadcast time for the sake of face, it also became a joke in the industry. The winner takes all the honors. Although Full House of Romance was completely broadcast, the hot discussion about the show on the internet has not stopped. The number of fans of the official vlog of the crew even reached more than 5 million, and the popularity index was big, surpassing that of Autumn in My Heart. The fans of Full House of Romance were still not satisfied. The short 25 episodes obviously could not fully meet their needs, and the call for a replay or a sequel was very loud. Under such circumstances, Beijing Television and Zhejiang Satellite TV announced at the same time that they would replay Full House of Romance at the end of August. At the same time, QQ Video also announced that it had won the right to broadcast Full House of Romance online. Full House of Romance was too popular, and its ratings were so high that it was dazzling. There were as many as a dozen TV stations seeking the right to replay, and the price offered was quite attractive. However, Beijing Television and Zhejiang Satellite TV were reluctant to give up this super big fat meat. They would rather pay a large sum of money to keep the replay rights with the priority in the contract and not let the fat water fall into the hands of outsiders. In addition, as one of the partners, Crown Pictures sought to purchase the movie rights of Full of Romance from Loo Chin Studio. Since both Loo Chin and Chin Fei had no intention of making a blockbuster movie like Full of Romance, and Crown Pictures was very sincere, the copyright contract was soon completed. The copyright transfer fee was 25 million yuan. The novel of the same name, Full House of Romance, was officially published by Shanghai Publishing House. Its first print run reached 500,000 copies. There was also a manga version, brand authorization, and a soundtrack album. After professional evaluation and the existing income, the final net profit of Full House of Romance for Loo Chin Studio would steadily exceed 100 million, and this was the income after tax deduction. Just by relying on this TV series, Loo Chin Studio was enough to rank among the first-class star studios. In addition to profits, he was also famous. Loo Chin's blog followers had also exceeded the 20 million mark. As an idol star who has only debuted for more than a year, Loo Chin is undoubtedly an artist who is good at creating miracles. His strength in music is well known, and he is proficient in both screenwriting and acting. His outstanding talent is simply enviable, as if it was a gift from heaven. A well-known blogger said on his blog, Loo Chin is an idol star because he has all the attributes of an idol, young, tall, handsome, healthy, sunny, but it is obviously very unfair to say that he is an idol star. He already has the potential to become a real superstar. What he lacks is nothing more than a few awards of sufficient weight. It is worth mentioning that the Yulon Awards, one of the two major domestic TV series awards, will announce the winners at the end of this month. As one of the highest-rated TV series last year, Autumn in My Heart, written and starring Loo Chin, has undoubtedly become one of the favorites. This inevitably makes people look forward to Loo Chin's performance at the Yulon Awards. Best TV Series, Best Actor, Best Screenwriting, Best Music, Best Original Theme Song. Amidst the uproar, Loo Chin announced that he would release his second album, The Ordinary Road, at the end of this month, and at the same time launched a crowdfunding campaign on the crowdfunding website, as well as a promotional tour in 7 major cities across the country. Loo Chin's second album can be said to be highly anticipated. The recording of all 10 songs has been completed and is currently in the intense post-production stage. The first stop he chose to promote was Hangzhou. Hangzhou has a special meaning for Lu Qin. He finished 4 years of college here and left countless beautiful or sad memories in his life. On the first day in Hangzhou, Lu Qin first met Gao He and Wang Xiaoling, his old classmates who had just been married. The dinner in the evening was booked by Gao He at the famous Shizi Hotel in Hangzhou, which was regarded as a welcome dinner for Lu Qin. But eating was not the main purpose. The important thing was that Gao He had resigned from his original company. When he married Wang Xiaoling 2 months ago, Lu Qin mentioned to the two that he wanted to invest in a mobile game company. Lu Qin would provide funds and ideas, and he would manage it. After 2 months, Gao He couldn't wait to start his own business. Of course, there is a reason. It's mainly the meaning of Xiaoling's family, Gao He explained to Lu Qin with a wry smile, looking quite helpless. Wang Xiaoling was very embarrassed. It turned out that although the two broke through the resistance of their families and got together, Gao He's father-in-law and mother-in-law were still dissatisfied with the marriage. In fact, it was mainly about buying a house. Both of them work in the company. Even if they earn double salaries, they don't know when they can buy a house in Hangzhou. Considering that they will have children in the future, they can't always rent a house, right? So their opinions are still quite big. The father-in-law and mother-in-law want to save face. They always feel that Wang Xiaoling is married like this. They can't lift their heads in front of their relatives and friends, so they can't help nagging Wang Xiaoling. Wang Xiaoling was complained by her family a lot, so she couldn't help but pull out Lu Qin's promise to prove that she has a future with Gao He. As a result, when Gao He's father-in-law and mother-in-law heard this, they immediately publicized this matter to their relatives and friends, and even Gao He's colleagues knew about it. This was very embarrassing. How could Gao He continue to stay in the original company, so he had to resign. Now that he has been put on the fire, he took advantage of Lu Qin's visit to revisit the old things and talk about starting his own business. After listening to the cause and effect, Lu Qin felt a little funny. Of course, it doesn't matter. At the beginning, he didn't make a promise without thinking. Now that Gao He has resigned, he will simply start the plan ahead of time. What's more, Lu Qin is prepared. Chapter 411. Gao He originally planned to come out after finishing his work in the company this year. Because of this unexpected change, it must have affected his plan, but his resignation was not the result of blindness and impulsiveness. Bad things can actually turn into good things. I have 2 buddies in the company who have a good relationship and are also capable. They want to start a business with me. Gao He said, among the people who just graduated from our school this year, I have contacted several younger brothers. If needed, I can immediately pull up a team of 10 people. The scale of Gao He's previous company is not large. At present, the competition in the mobile game industry is extremely fierce. In the winner-take-all situation, the situation of small enterprises in the weak position is undoubtedly much more difficult. Low wages and benefits, high labor intensity, and uncertain future. Gao He has been in this company for more than a year, and he has long had the idea of leaving, but he stayed out of the need to accumulate work experience. So after talking to Lu Qin last time, he was actively preparing. A team of 10 or so people was definitely far from enough to make a mobile game. However, as long as the flag was raised, it wouldn't be difficult to recruit relevant professionals in Hangzhou, which was a hotspot for advanced technology. It just depended on how big the company needed to be. At the beginning, we don't need a lot of people, Lu Qin smiled and said, I have already thought about the first game project. What do you do? Gao He suddenly became interested. Role-playing. Action. Strategy. Puzzle. He asked about the type of game. For a new company to start a business, the choice of mobile game type is very important, and it is one of the keys to success. Gao He understands technology and can also be a hardworking IT scalper, but game creativity is not his strength. He cares about the creativity proposed by Lu Qin, even more than the funds provided by Lu Qin. In such a mobile game market, creativity is really king. Lu Qin was not in a hurry to answer. He asked the waiter to find him a pen and a few pieces of printing paper. Picking up the pen and writing a line of English letters on the paper, Lu Qin handed it to Gao He. Gao He took it and looked at it, and he looked confused. Wang Xiaoling curiously poked her head and asked cautiously, "Happy?" What was written on the paper was a website. Lu Qin smiled and said, "That's right. This will be the new company's website. It will be called HappyNet." This URL had been registered a long time ago. Fortunately, it did not belong to a well-known website. Instead, it was in the hands of a domain name dealer. Lu Qin only spent 100,000 yuan to buy it. The first project of the new company will be a farming social network and mobile game. His brush flew, and he used simple strokes to quickly sketch out a rough image of the game on a new piece of white paper. There were fields, farmhouses, windmills, rivers, and so on. Of course, there were also growing vegetables. Lu Qin had learned sketching and coloring before. Although his drawing ability was far from that of a professional, it was still not a problem for him to draw this kind of childlike sketch. He finished it quickly. He used this picture to explain his ideas to Gao He. The name of this game is Happy Farm. All registered users have the initial resources, 6 squares of fields, farming tools, seeds, etc. They can log on every day to manage their own farms, planting, watering, fertilizing, pest control, picking, that's it. Gao He and Wang Xiaoling looked at each other and didn't know what to say. The two of them work in this industry. Not to mention their ability, they have knowledge and experience. Lu Qin's game creativity is a bit special, but it doesn't sound very attractive. Who would be bored enough to grow vegetables on their mobile phones and computers every day? How can they ensure customer stickiness? It's just that because of their face, the two of them couldn't say it clearly, and their expressions were a bit strange. Lu Qin looked at the expressions of the two of them and continued with a smile, "Don't you think it's a little boring? In fact, the key to this game is interactive. Registered users can invite others to become friends, and then help their friends' farms manage and cultivate, or steal their planting results. That's stealing vegetables." In Lu Qin's dream world, Happy Farm once created a miracle in web games. The craze of stealing vegetables lasted for a long time, and it frequently appeared in the media and made a lot of news. Unfortunately, it appeared a little early, in the period when smartphones have just begun to develop. Otherwise, it will inevitably become a popular mobile game. It is simple, interesting, interactive, and aimed at the weaknesses of human nature. Lu Qin took this game as the startup project of his new company. First of all, Happy Farm is very creative, and it is guaranteed to be a hit. Secondly, it is not difficult to produce, and it is most suitable for small teams to start a business. Any mobile game will not have a long life, and Happy Farm is no exception, but when the game declines, the foundation of the company will be very solid. At that time, Lu Qin can come up with a lot of creativity: Fruit Ninja, Plants vs. Zombies, Angry Birds. After listening to Lu Qin's detailed explanation of Happy Farm, Wang Xiaoling, who is not a professional, reacted first, "This is very interesting, we girls definitely like to play. Girls usually don't like fighting and killing games. Leisure games are the most suitable." Happy Farm is not only a casual game, but also has the attributes of upgrading and competition. The key is that it is extremely interactive. Lu Qin continued, "Users can bind to QQ, so that users can directly use QQ to log into the game, add and invite all their friends to participate together. As the hegemon of online instant communication, QQ has the most extensive users in the world. It is a common practice for many websites and games to use ready-made QQ numbers to register members. Lu Chen's studio has a good cooperative relationship with QQ, so there is no problem in applying for the resources of QQ, and they can even advertise through QQ. Lu Chen has thought of this step. Even Gao He, who is still a little confused, was determined. Old 3, we will do whatever you say. I will listen to you. Wang Xiaoling gritted her teeth and said, Lu Chen, for the investment of the new company, Gao He will contribute 300,000 yuan, and I will contribute 200,000 yuan. The two of us will add up to a total of 500,000 yuan. The proportion of shares will be decided by you. Although it is said to be 2 people, it is actually all the funds that the 2 families can come up with. Lu Chen nodded, then I will contribute 5 million yuan, accounting for 80% of the shares. You will contribute 10%, and the other 10% will be used as equity incentives for those employees who have made contributions in the future. What do you think? To start the Happy Farm project, 5 million yuan is definitely more than enough. Lu Chen's equity distribution plan is very fair and reasonable, and it is also slightly biased towards Gao He and Wang Xiaoling, because 10% of the incentive equity is equivalent to him, and he also provided the most important creativity. Gao He said without thinking, no problem. Lu Chen smiled and held out his hand. Come, I wish us a happy cooperation. Chapter 412. Countless examples had proven that it was the easiest for friends to run a business together. When 2 or more good brothers ran a business together, they might be able to work together in the beginning. However, when the business was struggling or when they were growing stronger, their interests would cause a rift, causing the once indestructible friendship to lose its luster. Often in the end, the business fails, and the brothers become enemies. Lu Chen, who has 3 life memories, deeply understands the truth, so he did not take it all at the beginning. In the most critical and sensitive equity distribution, he did not give too many benefits, which not only took care of Gao He's dignity, but also fulfilled the friendship between the 2 sides. Only such cooperation can last for a long time, and only in line with Lu Chen's original intention. After negotiating the basis of cooperation, Lu Chen will send a financial staff to supervise the funds, and the work of recruiting and opening a stall will be handed over to Gao He and Wang Xiaoling. In this new company, Lu Chen will be the behind-the-scenes boss, and the daily business affairs will be handled by Gao He and Wang Xiaoling for the time being. However, after getting on the right track, professional managers will be introduced to carry out better and more professional management of the company. After talking about business, it is natural to talk about life. Gao He asked the waiter to bring a box of beer and drank with Lu Chen bottle to bottle, recalling the good college days and the past together. Gao He regretted, it's a pity that the 4th brother is on a business trip, otherwise it would be better if he was here. The 4 of us haven't reunited for a long time. The last time Gao He and Wang Xiaoling got married, old K did not come, but sent a big red envelope to Gao He as a congratulatory gift. Now everyone has their own careers, and it is not easy to reunite. Wang Xiaoling is obviously more interested in the private affairs of the big stars. Lu Chen, when are you going to get married? In response to this question, Lu Chen couldn't help but touch his nose and smile. When are you going to have children with the boss? Wang Xiaoling shyly, I asked you first. Lu Chen laughed, when you have children, then I can consider getting married. For Lu Chen's rascal, Wang Xiaoling could only roll her eyes helplessly. Gao He smirked. Wang Xiaoling couldn't help but pinch him. Stop laughing. Don't be so wishful thinking. I don't want to have children now. At least wait until we buy a house and settle down. I think that day will come soon. Lu Chen smiled and said, come, let's have a toast. Cheers. Even Wang Xiaoling generously poured a full glass of beer and drank it all in one go after clinking glasses with Lu Chen. Sister-in-law is indeed a heroine. Lu Chen put down his glass and gave her a thumbs up. He then opened his bag and took out a stack of invitations. Tomorrow night, I will hold a fan meeting at the Zhonghua Automobile 4S flagship store. He handed the invitations to Wang Xiaoling. There are 7 invitations here. 2 of them are yours, and the other 5 can be given to relatives and friends. There are gifts and lucky draws. This time, Lu Chen's new album's nationwide promotional tour was held in the form of fan meetings in Zhonghua Automobile's 4S flagship stores in 7 major cities. Zhonghua Automobile gave strong support. Oh, there's a lucky draw. Wang Xiaoling's eyes suddenly lit up, and she took it with a smile. What's the grand prize? Lu Chen said, a new Zhonghua R-Class station wagon. Wang Xiaoling, aw. She was really shocked. She didn't expect that a small fan meeting could give a grand prize of more than 100,000 yuan. Lu Chen's nationwide promotional tour of The Ordinary Road was fully co-organized by Zhonghua Automobile. Not only did they provide the venue, personnel, and prizes, but they even paid a 7-figure marketing fee to Lu Chen Studio. It sounds like Zhonghua Automobile is simply a living lay feng, but they will certainly not do a losing deal. Once the R-Class station wagon endorsed by Lu Chen was launched, with its reasonable price, novel style, and excellent quality, it quickly opened up the market among the young middle-class group, and its sales rose steadily. Among them, Lu Chen's commercial for Zhonghua Automobile played an indispensable role, making the brand image of this Zhonghua R-Class station wagon deeply rooted in the hearts of the people, and its market evaluation and reputation were quite good. Other automobile manufacturers saw the potential of this market and were all ready to enter the market. At that time, the competition was bound to be fierce. Therefore, under such circumstances, Zhonghua Automobile naturally attached great importance to the promotion of new models. If a new car sells well, it can easily make hundreds of millions or billions of sales, and millions of marketing expenses are just a drop in the bucket. Therefore, when Lu Chen Studio contacted Zhonghua Automobile, the two sides hit it off. Zhonghua Automobile not only agreed to all the terms of cooperation proposed by the studio, but also added a lot of content. For example, the car prize, which is also excellent publicity. Now Lu Chen's popularity and influence are much stronger than when he was shooting the commercial. The 7 fan meetings in 7 major cities were not only held in the local Zhonghua Automobile 4S flagship store, but also had a car prize. In addition, there were 3 cars for Lu Chen, Lu Chen's fan group blog and Whale TV, live lottery. The value of 10 cars alone reached 1.5 million. In addition to the car prize, there are computers, mobile phones, shopping vouchers and so on. Wang Xiaoling couldn't close her mouth with a smile. My sister must be very happy. She and many of her classmates are now your loyal fans. Lu Chen said with a smile, then remember to come on time tomorrow night. Both the guests and the host enjoyed the meal. Lu Chen had his own car to follow. He first sent Gao He and his wife home, and then told the driver, Brother Zhang, take me to West Lake. I want to go to the broken bridge. When he was in college in Hangzhou, Lu Chen often went for a walk by West Lake. Although the scenery was already familiar, he still missed it today. He drank a lot of wine in the evening, so he wanted to relive the original feeling. The driver nodded, okay. The driver, Brother Zhang, was introduced to him by Lin Jijia of Flying Stone Records, Lu Chen's new assistant. Li Feiyu no longer holds this position. He has been in charge of online publicity in the studio, managing the live broadcast room, official blog, official post bar and so on. Brother Zhang's real name is Zhang Xiaofang. He is in his 30s. He has been in this industry for more than 10 years. He has worked with many artists, so he has a lot of experience. His professional quality is really much better than Li Feiyu's. With him around to take care of chores, Lu Chen will undoubtedly be much more relaxed. Zhang Xiaofang drove all the way to Beishan Road and put Lu Chen down in front of the broken bridge. Chapter 413. Lu Chen likes Hangzhou very much. The reason why he likes it is not only because Hangzhou is the provincial capital of his hometown, but more importantly, he has many good memories in this city. Those memories are imprinted in his heart and can never be erased. He studied in this city, lived here, fell in love here, was lovelorn here, laughed here, and was sad here. This city is so charming. It has both the profound heritage of history and the graceful style of Jiangnan, which makes people forget to return, make people unforgettable, and make people willing to devote a lifetime to it. And West Lake is the essence of Hangzhou. The broken bridge at night has a different beauty from the daytime. The long embankment is full of people, and the street lamps emitting soft light extend along the embankment to the distance, as if a string of pearls inlaid on West Lake. Lu Chen has walked the broken bridge connecting the white embankment many times, and each time seems to have a different feeling. The evening wind blows the weeping willows, and the moist water vapor dispels the heat of the sun. On the sparkling lake, the cruise ship with lanterns hanging on it sailed by, and pairs of couples snuggled up to each other on the shore, perfectly illustrating what is called a beautiful scenery in the world. Halfway through, Lu Chen sat down on a bench by the side of the road. He stared at the lights of the distant city, and there was something called nostalgia in his heart. He remembered a song. The name of this song is Jiangnan. After sitting quietly for a moment, Lu Chen got up and went back the way he came. None of the passers-by walking on the embankment knew that he had been here tonight. Hangzhou Binjiang New Area, Zhonghua Automobile 4S flagship store. This flagship store was completed last year. As part of Zhonghua Automobile's ambitious market expansion plan in Zhejiang Province, its new 4S store is no less than the Mercedes-Benz and BMW flagship stores in the same area, both in terms of size and facilities. Today's day is a bit special. The main hall of Zhonghua Automobile's flagship store in Hangzhou has changed dramatically, and the new cars that were originally displayed have been moved back to the warehouse. It has been rearranged into a party scene, with a temporary stage, a background screen, lights, sound, and audience seats. The first stop of the nationwide promotional tour for Lu Chen's new album, The Ordinary Road, was about to be held in Hangzhou. Some fans had already rushed over at 3 p.m. For this fan meeting, Lu Chen Studio sent out a total of nearly 500 invitations to fans in the Jiangsu and Zhejiang region. Of course, they were selected through the blog lottery. The meet and greet started at 7 p.m., but by 5 p.m., the flagship store was already full of people, and the atmosphere was already very lively. Most of these fans were young people, and there were even quite a few teenage boys and girls. Many of them brought along cheering boards, fluorescent signs, and other fan support equipment. Although there were not many people due to the limitations of the venue, it fully reflected the exuberant popularity that Lu Chen currently had. The temporary backstage was set up in the flagship store's office. This time, Lu Chen brought a small team with him. There were a total of 5 people, including his assistant. As for the on-site decorations, they hired a local professional company to do it. Isn't it very lively over there? Chen Fei, soft laughter came from the phone, as if there was a breath blowing in Lu Chen's ear. Lu Chen sighed and said, "If you are there, you will know." This time, he came to Hangzhou to promote the new album. Chen Fei did not come with him because she had other brand endorsement activities. Chen Fei smiled and said, "I can't talk to you anymore. I'm going on stage. Say hello to Auntie for me tomorrow." After the fan meeting in Hangzhou today, Lu Chen will go home to visit his mother tomorrow. Speaking of which, he hasn't been home for a long time. The last time Gao he got married, he didn't go back because the schedule was too close. So this time, he can't miss it. Lu Chen couldn't help laughing, shook his head and put down the phone. "Lu Chen. What are you doing? You can't go in here." At this time, there was a fierce quarrel in the corridor outside the door. It seemed that a conflict had broken out, mixed with the screams of women and the scolding of assistant security personnel. "What's going on?" Lu Chen frowned, got up and opened the door to see what was going on. He saw that in the corridor, 2 security personnel stopped a girl holding a gift box in her hand. The latter struggled desperately to break free from the other party, and her face was red. Zhang Xiaofeng, the assistant who was guarding the door, saw Lu Chen coming out and immediately explained. She suddenly broke in. Lu Chen suddenly understood. His current popularity is increasing day by day, and the number of fans is also rising steadily. There are passers-by fans, hardcore fans, and crazy fans. Some fans are really resourceful. They can even touch the community where Lu Chen lives in Beijing, and then squat outside, waiting for him to come out and ask for autographs or photos. This fan is undoubtedly one of them. He doesn't know what method she used to mix with the security personnel and accurately find his location. When the girls saw Lu Chen, she immediately screamed, Lu Chen, I love you." Perhaps it was because she was too emotional, she cried out loud. Unfortunately, it couldn't move the heart of the security personnel. Lu Chen quickly said, "Let her go. Let her come over. It doesn't matter." Lu Chen's attitude towards fans has always been very lenient. Even if some fans' behavior may be excessive, he will try to be tolerant. At most, he will advise them instead of severely reprimanding them. And this girl is only 16 or 17 years old. When Lu Chen spoke, the security personnel could only let go of the girl, and the latter immediately rushed over and hugged him. Her movements are also very skilled. Lu Chen took a small step back because of her hug. He said with a smile, "Hello, what's your name?" The girl looked up and replied with a happy face, My name is Hao Lulu, and I'm your fan." "Hello, Sister Hao Lulu," Lu Chen said, "the fan meeting is about to begin. Why don't you go out with me? In fact, there is still half an hour before the start, but it doesn't matter if it's early." Hao Lulu nodded quickly and gave a gift of love at the same time. "This is my gift to you." Lu Chen took it and said, "Thank you." Nowadays, Lu Chen's studio can receive a lot of gifts from fans to Lu Chen every day. There are all kinds of things, and of course, there is no lack of such gifts. With this little sister Hao Lulu, Lu Chen came to the stage of the main hall. The next moment, the audience burst into enthusiastic cheers. Chapter 4:14. For any star artist, the most important thing to have is not appearance, talent, ability or anything else, but fans. Fans determine the status and value of an artist to a large extent, so how to increase popularity and maintain the loyalty of fans is very important for an artist. Lu Chen hasn't been on his debut for a long time, but relying on his outstanding achievements in music and acting, the popularity and number of fans he has accumulated in just over a year is something that most artists can't catch up with. It's just that Lu Chen is very busy with his usual work. He almost never takes ordinary jobs, so naturally, there are fewer opportunities to communicate with fans. He usually uses his blog to interact with fans. This is obviously not enough. A real big shot often runs a fan group for more than 10 or even decades. In contrast, Lu Chen's foundation is still very shallow. The popularity and reputation he currently has are more like a gorgeous house built on the beach, which may collapse completely with a gust of wind and waves. In the extremely competitive entertainment industry, similar situations are not uncommon. Some artists become famous overnight and then disappear quickly. Only a few superstars can always stand at the top. Lu Chen is very clear about his weaknesses, so the promotional activities for his new album are also an important step for him to manage his fans. Lu Chen's fan group is mainly young people. Even if some fans are not sensible enough and willful enough, he will give enough tolerance and kindness. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lu Qin. Holding Hao Lulu's hand, Lu Qin stood in the center of the stage, under the spotlight. He said with a smile, "Thank you for coming to this meeting." Ah! There were screams and cheers under the stage. Many fans clapped their cheering sticks hard, and some held up fluorescent signs with Lu Chen's name, setting off a wave of climax atmosphere at the scene. When the sound wave subsided a little, Lu Chen continued, "Everyone must be very strange in guessing who this little sister next to me is, right?" Of course, he was talking about Hao Lulu. Hao Lulu's face was red. She was so excited that she couldn't speak. She felt like she was dreaming. In fact, when Lu Chen brought her on stage, many fans were very surprised and curious. Because they didn't know Hao Lulu, they didn't know why Lu Chen was holding her hand. Keeping them in suspense, Lu Chen took the initiative to reveal the mystery. This little girl is called Hao Lulu. She accidentally got lost in there and I found her. Do any of you know her? Someone recognized her. Hao Lulu. Lu Chen took the opportunity to say, "That's great. Please take her back." The fans burst into laughter. Everyone understood that Hao Lulu must also be a fan of Lu Chen. She was the kind of person who dared to barge in recklessly. After sending Hao Lulu off the stage to meet up with her friends, Lu Chen had solved a small problem perfectly. He sat on the high stool that was already prepared, adjusted the wireless microphone on his head, and picked up the guitar next to the stool. Holding the guitar in his arms, Lu Chen bowed his head to test the sound. He stared at the fans under the stage, smiled and said, "Before I start today's performance, I'd like to tell you a little secret. It's about the guitar in my hand." The noise of the fans quickly disappeared, and everyone pricked up their ears to listen to Lu Chen. "This guitar was a gift from my sister on my 18th birthday. In order to buy it, my sister spent all her savings. Although I can afford a new guitar that is 10 times or even 100 times more expensive, in my heart, there is no more precious and cherished partner than it. And it has been with me through the most difficult times. Now I brought it here today. I want to use this guitar to tell everyone that you, and friends like you, are the most precious and cherished people in my heart. Thank you for all the support you've given me all this time." Lu Chen stood up again, raised his head and said loudly, "The ordinary road, for you." Wow! The audience immediately burst into applause, and the accompanying music came at the same time. The MV of The Ordinary Road appeared on the screen behind Lu Chen. Wandering, on the road, do you want to go, via via? Fragile, proud, I once crossed mountains and seas, and walked through mountains and seas of people, I once had everything. This song, The Ordinary Road, opened the prelude to tonight's fan meeting. Although it was the opening promo song, Lu Chen still poured his emotions into singing this song again. Along the way, everything that happened yesterday seemed to be still in front of him. Sometimes, Lu Chen couldn't tell if he was in reality or in a dream, because everything happened so quickly. He used to be confused and afraid that one day he would wake up and find that everything was a dream, and that he was still a nobody struggling at the bottom of Beijing to make a living and pay his debts. But today, Lu Chen had found his true path. He was no longer confused or hesitant. He had his own dreams and ambitions, and he had family and lovers that he needed to protect. Even if the road ahead was bumpy, he was not afraid. Somehow, this is the only road I have to take. In addition to the hundreds of fans at the scene, a camera set up behind the auditorium was only focused on Lu Chen, recording his image and then transmitting it to the live broadcast room of Whale TV, through the internet, appearing on the computer and mobile phone screens of millions of fans. Only a very small number of lucky fans received the invitation and came to the scene. Most fans could only participate in this music event in this way and listen to Lu Chen singing. Whale TV was also the partner of Lu Chen's new album promotion plan. For this and the live broadcast of the fan meeting in 6 major cities, Whale TV officially put a large advertisement on the homepage in advance. Therefore, as soon as the live broadcast began, the number of online viewers easily broke the million mark and quickly moved towards a higher peak. Li Feiyu was in charge of the live broadcast in Beijing, so the atmosphere in the live broadcast room was always in a state of excitement. So, don't look at the small scale of this fan meeting. It's not even as big as an announcement or endorsement event. But in fact, the number of fans who really support Lu Qin is very large. Chapter 4:15. With the song The Ordinary Road as the opening, Lu Qin set off a new wave at the fan meeting. When Lu Qin finished singing the song and put down the guitar in his arms, 2 girls in short skirts ran to the stage with cheerful steps and gave him 2 bouquets of beautiful flowers amidst the warm applause and cheers. "Thank you." Lu Qin smiled and took the flowers from the fan representatives. What he didn't expect was that one of the taller girls suddenly hugged him, tiptoed, and kissed him on the cheek at lightning speed. After this sneak attack, the beautiful female fan turned around and triumphantly made a victory gesture. "Hey!" The cheers of the audience instantly turned into good-natured boos and laughter. Lu Qin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although it was an accident, it didn't matter. Instead, it made the atmosphere of the scene more relaxed and pleasant. Then Lu Qin sang another song, Free as the Wind. This song is not only a work from his new album, The Ordinary Road, but also chosen by Zhonghua Automobile as the promotional song for the new station wagon. Naturally, it should be sung in front. Of course, the most important thing about the fan meeting is not how many songs are sung, but the interaction with fans. "Today this stage is mine, and it belongs to you, so next," Lu Qin said, "I want to invite a fan friend to the stage. I will accompany her with the guitar and let her sing a song for everyone. What do you think?" "Good." Of course, the fans said yes loudly, and the cheering sticks were banging loudly. "So, which friend who can sing is willing to come to the stage?" Lu Qin's eyes searched the audience. He said with a smile, "If a friend is willing to sing bravely, I will fulfill her little wish here." Brush. One by one, their arms were raised high, and the fans were very excited. They couldn't wait to rush directly to the stage. Hundreds of fans, whether they can sing or not, basically raised their hands. Lu Qin said with a smile, "So many people? That's really hard to do. Let the computer choose. It's the fairest way." As soon as his voice fell, the image on the big screen behind him immediately changed at an astonishing speed, constantly switching the images of the fans in the stadium, dazzling the audience. This was a computer-controlled randomization program for live images. It was most suitable for live lucky draws or selection. Who could it be? Lu Qin whetted everyone's appetite a little, then decisively said, "Stop." The screen instantly froze. A girl in a green dress with an apple face and big round eyes was picked out by the computer program, and the cameras immediately locked onto her. "Ah!" There were sounds of surprise and pity in the audience. The woman in the green dress who was chosen was very surprised at first, and then she shyly covered her face, probably feeling very embarrassed. Lu Qin said with a smile, "Would you like to invite this friend to come on stage and sing?" Everyone, give him a round of applause. Amidst the loud applause, the girl in the green dress walked onto the stage and shyly stood beside Lu Qin. The staff brought her a microphone. Lu Qin asked, "Can you tell us your name?" The girl in the green dress nodded, raised the microphone and said, "Hello everyone, my name is Yu Xiaorui." There was another round of applause. Lu Qin asked again, "Then Miss Yu Xiaorui, which song do you want to sing?" Yu Xiaorui hesitated and asked, "I want to sing the song Meeting, can I?" Meeting? Lu Qin was more or less a little surprised, then immediately smiled and said, no problem, then this meeting will be. The song Meeting was Lu Chen's work, but it was written for Chen Fei. It had been officially released in the latter's album Woman Flower and was at the top of the original music chart. This song was most suitable for piano accompaniment, but there was no piano on the scene, so Lu Chen simply replaced it with a guitar. The effect of the performance was secondary, the interaction with the fans was the main thing. What surprised him was that Yu Xiaorui sang quite well. Hearing the departure of winter, I woke up in a certain month of a certain year. I think I look forward to, but the future. Her voice was not as beautiful as Chen Fei's, but the tone of this song was very accurate, and the breath and emotion were very in place, with a slightly sad and melancholy style. Under the accompaniment of the guitar, she actually sang a bit of a folk song, which was an alternative interpretation. After Yu Xiaorui finished singing, Lu Chen was the first to applaud with the guitar. Great. The fans applauded even more enthusiastically. Yu Xiaorui was happy and shy at the same time. She bowed and said, "Thank you." Lu Chen nodded and said very seriously, "I think you sang better than the original singer, but you should keep this matter to yourself. Remember not to tell anyone else." Yu Xiaorui pursed her lips and smiled. And Lu Chen's voice was clearly transmitted to the ears of everyone on the scene through the wireless microphone. When the fans heard it, they all laughed. The original singer of Meet was Chen Fei. Lu Chen added, "You guys can't say it either." Everyone was overjoyed, and the hall of the flagship store echoed with laughter. This kind of happy atmosphere also infected the millions of fans in the live broadcast room, and for a moment, the bullet screen was like rain. He actually sang better than Chen Fei. Ha ha ha, I don't know what Fei will think when he hears it. I think Chen will kneel on the washboard when he goes back. Pfft. Who would kneel on the washboard now? If he wants to kneel, he can only kneel on the motherboard. The one in front is too ruthless. Too ruthless +1. After everyone laughed, Lu Chen waved his hand and said, "Let's stop joking." Then, Miss Yu Xiaorui, do you have any wishes that you want to fulfill? Of course, the premise is that it's reasonable, and I can do it. Yu Xiaorui pursed her lips and said, "My sister is also a fan of yours. Unfortunately, she didn't get an invitation. She really wants a signed album from you. Is that okay?" Lu Chen smiled and said, "Of course, there's no problem. I'll give you 2 limited edition albums." He motioned to the staff on the sidelines, who quickly sent 2 limited edition albums. Coming to Hangzhou for publicity, Lu Chen certainly prepared gifts for his fans. This limited edition album was one of them. In addition to the signed CD, there were commemorative USB drives, exquisite figurines, key rings, and so on. At present, it has been booked out on the crowdfunding website. Yu Xiaorui was overjoyed. This undoubtedly made her, who had received 2 limited edition albums, the object of everyone's envy. This also made fans look forward to the interactive session that would follow. They wanted it too. Chapter 4:16. The second person chosen to go on stage was a male fan. The fan named Li Lo was in his 20s. He was thin and had an ordinary appearance. He was the type that wouldn't stand out in a crowd. His mannerisms were gentle. But the song he chose was Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart, and he sang it very well. Running forward, facing the cold eyes and ridicule. How can you feel the vastness of life without going through hardships? Fate can't make us kneel and beg for mercy, even if our arms are covered with blood. At the climax of the chorus, this ordinary-looking man's singing was heart-wrenching. His voice was high and full of passion. It made people's blood boil. Among all of Lu Chen's works, Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart was undoubtedly a very unique song. This song wasn't too popular in the general public. It was only popular for a period of time when it first came out. Because its chorus was too high, it was difficult to cover it. If it was down-tuned, it wouldn't be able to sing the deep feeling at all. Naturally, it wouldn't become a popular work in KTV. However, on the internet, Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart had always been the favorite of hot-blooded youths. Many professional and non-professional people accompanied it with animations or videos, making it extremely popular. Those who could sing Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart and sing it well were all talented people. Lily's performance of this song might not be professional enough, but his attitude and feelings were completely fine. It deeply affected everyone present. So when he finished singing this song, the audience burst into thunderous applause. Many fans even stood up and cheered for him. Good singing. Lu Chen put down his guitar and gave this fan a strong hug to express his admiration. Patting Lily's shoulder, Lu Chen turned around to face the fans and sincerely explained, "I'm here to solemnly declare that Yu Xiaorui and Lily's friend were randomly selected by the computer. They really weren't hired by me. They really weren't." Yu Xiaorui's Encounter was very good, and Lily's Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart was equally good. The two fans who were chosen to go on stage had wonderful performances, which surprised even Lu Chen himself. But this wasn't arranged in advance. Both Yu Xiaorui and Li Lo were his true fans. He then asked Li Lo, "Tell me, are you the one I hired? If not, why did he sing Chasing Dreams with a Childlike Heart so well?" Li Lo was dumbfounded and didn't know how to answer. Seeing his expression, everyone immediately burst into laughter, and someone shouted loudly, "We believe you." Lu Chen quickly cupped his fists. Thank you for believing in me." The laughter grew louder. Lu Chen smiled and said, "I won't joke around anymore." "Then, my friend Li Lo, what wish do you want to fulfill?" he asked Li Lo. Li Lo hesitated for a moment before he replied in embarrassment, "Lu Chen, I've seen your videos on the internet, and I feel that you're very skilled. So can you show me your skills here?" This request was a little special. However, it was normal for boys to like fighting. Li Lo was thin and small, so it was easier for him to dream of being a hero. And among the fans at the scene, there were also people who wanted to see the world in chaos, so they immediately cheered loudly. When Lu Chen was filming Full House of Romance in Jeju Island, the video of him fighting 6 Japanese bodyguards for the crew was widely spread on the internet, and even had more than 1 million views on video websites in the United States. Li Lo was talking about this video. As a otaku who liked music and games, he had watched this video dozens of times. So this time, he was lucky to attend Lu Chen's fan meeting, and he was lucky enough to be on stage. Li Lo wanted to see Lu Chen show his skills in person to satisfy his little wish. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "I can show you, but I need your cooperation, and it's a little dangerous. Are you afraid?" Hearing Lu Chen's answer, Li Li's eyes suddenly lit up, and he immediately shook his head and said, "I'm not afraid." Lu Chen smiled and said, "That's good." He called the staff on the scene and said, "Please bring me a drink, Coke will do." There was a vending machine in the flagship store, and a can of Coke was only 3 yuan. Everyone didn't know what Lu Chen was selling, and everyone's curiosity was aroused. The Coke was quickly sent over. Lu Chen waited and said to Li Lo, "It's not too late for you to regret it now." The audience was silent. Li Lo clearly felt the change in the atmosphere. He seemed a little nervous, but he shook his head to show that he didn't give up. "That's good." Lu Chen put the Coke in his hand and said, "You stand here and don't move. Put this Coke on your head, understand?" Li Lo swallowed his saliva and carefully put the Coke on his head. Lu Chen took 2 steps back, looked at him with a sharp gaze, and asked, "You really don't regret it?" It would have been better if Lu Chen didn't ask, but Li Lu became even more nervous. He should have understood a little, and his body was trembling slightly, but at this moment, it was hard to get off. He braced himself and replied, "I don't regret it." "That's good." Before Lu Chen's voice fell, his left foot suddenly took a step forward, and his right leg lifted up. He twisted his body and kicked at Li Li's head with lightning speed. Li Lu was shocked. He didn't have time to dodge, and his mind was completely blank. Bang! There was only a muffled sound, and the coke that was originally placed on top of Li Li's head was kicked by Lu Chen in the air. Countless water droplets and foam splashed everywhere, and under the illumination of the lights, it reflected thousands of crystal lights. The speed of Lu Chen's leg was too fast. This side kick was very beautiful and very accurate. It did not hurt Li Lu at all, it was completed in the blink of an eye. Wow! There was a cry of surprise from the audience. In fact, most people did not completely see the whole process, but Lu Chen's strong skills had been vividly displayed in this flying kick, especially the scene where he kicked the Coke can, which really made people gasp in amazement. Some of the fans present were not only chasing Lu Chen, but also participated in other artists' fan meetings, but they have never seen such a wonderful performance. Many people were shocked. In the Whale TV live broadcast room, the number of barrage brushed out in an instant reached a terrifying level. Who can tell me what happened just now? I didn't see it clearly either. Replay, quickly replay it. Lu Chen big is too powerful, the flying kick is too cool. Real Kung Fu, instant kill Taekwondo. I want to worship Lu Chen big as my master, and learn this kick is enough. Pour Coke can, accompanied by a barrage and rain-like gifts, all kinds of props, including aircraft carriers, were brushed out. If the previous video of Lu Chen defeating the Japanese bodyguard gave people a more or less unreal feeling, then now he showed his skills in front of hundreds of people at the scene and millions of fans on the internet, which was undoubtedly the best proof of his strength. And it was extremely cool and handsome. In the exclamations and screams of the audience, Li Lu, as the person involved, finally woke up. He couldn't help but touch his head, and found no missing parts or bleeding head. Only then did he breathe a big sigh of relief. This was too exciting. No wonder Lu Chen repeatedly asked him if he wanted to regret it. If he was asked to do it again, he really might not dare to agree without thinking. Lu Chen asked the staff to bring over a limited edition album set and a few pieces of tissue paper and sent them to Li Lu. Just now, there were coke drops and foam splashed on the latter's body. "Thank you for your cooperation." Lu Chen smiled and gave Li Lu a thumbs up. "Good job." Li Lu scratched his head embarrassedly and left the stage with the gift that Lu Chen gave him. Although he didn't fully understand just now, he could go back and watch the replay of the live video. As one of the protagonists, Li Lu was honored. On the stage, Lu Chen took a long breath and said, "It's really not easy to satisfy everyone's wishes, so let's pick the last friend to go on stage." According to the program arrangement, the interactive segment needed to choose 3 fans to go on stage, then Lu Chen would sing 2 more songs, and finally, the grand prize for tonight would be drawn. So who would be the last lucky person? Everyone's eyes were focused on the big screen in the background, where the picture was changing rapidly. Stop. After waiting for about 10 seconds, Lu Chen decisively stopped. The picture froze instantly. The live camera's lens was locked on the corner of the auditorium, where a woman in a long dress was sitting in a very inconspicuous position. Her skin was as white as snow, her hair was draped over her shoulders, and her pretty face was mostly covered by a pair of big fashionable glasses. When her image appeared on the big screen, the woman in the long dress took off her glasses and showed a charming smile to the camera. The next moment, the audience was shocked, and the fans were going crazy. "Chen Fei, Countless people shouted her name at the same time. It turned out to be Chin Fei, who secretly hid in the corner to watch Lu Chen's performance. This was definitely the biggest accident and surprise tonight. Lu Chen was also surprised, but soon he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Revenge. This was definitely a naked revenge, because last time when Chin Fei promoted her new album in the Huhai Mecha Culture and Arts Center, Lu Chen also sat in the audience and played a low-key fan, giving her a big surprise. Now Chin Fei repeated the same trick. When she talked to him on the phone before the fan meeting, she said that she was doing endorsement activities in the capital, but in fact, she had already sneaked to Hangzhou and colluded with the staff to make a sneak attack. If it wasn't revenge, what was it? However, this kind of revenge was so warm and sweet. Chapter 4:17. The Hangzhou Zhonghua 4S flagship store was boiling. Lu Chen's live broadcast room on Whale TV was also boiling. Chin Fei's appearance undoubtedly became the biggest highlight of Lu Chen's new album promotion fan meeting tonight. The surprise came so fast that it caught people off guard. Chin Fei, it's really Chin Fei, Strange, I don't feel surprised at all. Not surprised +1. I remember the last time my Fei's birthday, my Chin seemed to be playing a fan in the audience. Well, it's like this. My Chin and my Fei really know how to play. Haha, there must be a love song duet. For a fan, the happiest thing is to see their idol with their own eyes, and what's even happier than that is to see two idols. The fans sitting in the flagship store tonight are undoubtedly happy. Not only did they feel the strength and charm of Lu Chen on the scene, but also a heavenly queen of the singing industry. Chin Fei, Chin Fei, In the shouts of the audience, Chin Fei walked to the stage and took the microphone from the staff. She hugged Lu Chen first, causing the cheers of the audience to rise one after another. Lu Chen said with a smile, "You lied to me so hard." This common line in the 8 o'clock melodrama made many fans overjoyed. Chin Fei chuckled and said, "This is called giving someone a taste of their own medicine. I always remember it." The two looked at each other as if there was no one else in the whole world. This dog food was sprinkled. Whether it was at the scene or in the live broadcast room, the single dogs all felt a deep malice. It was simply unbearable to watch. Fortunately, Chin Fei still fully considered their feelings. She turned around and said to the audience, "Tonight, I am also a fan of Lu Chen. What do you think about my singing his song? Your eyes. The most romantic thing." The audience responded like a tide, and the fans shouted the names of their favorite songs at the same time. Chin Fei listened quietly for a moment before he smiled and said, "How about this? I'll sing a song with Lu Chen. How about that?" "All right." Of course, the fans cheered loudly. Chin Fei turned around and said to Lu Chen, "Then let's sing, Because of Love." Lu Chen nodded. He had sung this song, Because of Love, once when he did a radio program, but this song was a duet between a man and a woman. The two had never sung it in public. Today was the first time. The accompaniment was still the guitar in Lu Chen's hands. He gently plucked the strings and played the prelude. Facing the person he loved the most, the song seemed to flow from the bottom of his heart. "I'll give you a CD of the past. Listen to our love at that time. Sometimes I suddenly forget that I still love you." Tonight, Chin Fei was very beautiful. As usual, she did not wear heavy makeup. The light makeup looked more elegant under the light, and the plain white dress set off her figure extremely perfectly. She looked at Lu Chen with deep affection in her star-like eyes. "I can't sing a song like that anymore. Every time I hear it, I blush and avoid it. Although I often forget that I still love you." Although this song has not been officially recorded as a single, and Chen Fei has only sung it with Lu Chen a few times after getting the score, but standing on this stage for hundreds of people at the scene and millions of fans on the internet, the two people's interpretation of the work seems to have gone through thousands of times of practice, and there is a natural tacit understanding and agreement. It was the kind of tacit understanding that belonged to a real couple. The guitar accompaniment was almost non-existent. The deep warmth of Lu Chen and the ethereal grace of Chen Fei, the two different voices blended together, echoing and setting off each other. What the audience heard was the purest sound of music that was close to the essence. The hall was silent. Many fans even held their breath, for fear that the slightest noise would affect the atmosphere of the scene. They stared unblinkingly at Lu Chen and Chen Fei on the stage. It was like a pilgrimage. Words were the voice of the heart, and songs were the song. A real classic did not need too many gorgeous decorations. What could really touch people's hearts were the sincere, warm, deep, and restrained feelings. I still love you. After the last chorus, the audience was silent. Lu Chen and Chen Fei looked at each other and smiled. Everything was said without words. After only a moment, the applause suddenly exploded. The audience all stood up. They clapped hard, shouted loudly, and shouted the names of Lu Chen and Chen Fei. The sound waves set off shattered the glass around the hole. The atmosphere of the scene reached its peak at this moment. At this moment, the number of online viewers in Lu Chen's live broadcast room on Whale TV had exceeded 3 million, setting a new record for Whale TV. It was believed that the Whale TV officials were already smiling crookedly at this time. The publicity effect brought by the live broadcast of Lu Chen and Chen Fei was enough to cover millions of marketing expenses. The gifts from the aircraft carriers covered the entire screen. Due to the large number of people sending messages and gifts, the server of Whale TV was overwhelmed, and there was a temporary lagging phenomenon. This also faithfully reflected the current popularity of Lu Chen and Chen Fei. After a long time, the hall finally quieted down. No one knew who shouted in the crowd, "It's time to make a wish." Everyone suddenly laughed. After the first two selected fans sang on stage, they both made a small wish to Lu Chen. Both of their wishes came true. Now it was Chen Fei, which was very interesting. Make a wish. Make a wish. Make a wish. Many fans who wanted the world to be in chaos immediately shouted, quickly forming a huge sound wave. Chen Fei smiled and said, "Since everyone is so enthusiastic, then I will ask Lu Chen for a small wish." "What do you think I should ask him to do?" The fans immediately came up with ideas. Some shouted, "Kiss him." Some shouted, "Propose." Few of them were reliable. Of course, Chen Fei couldn't really listen to their nonsense. She thought for a moment and said, "I think. I hope." The heavenly queen of the music industry was keeping everyone in suspense at this time, which made people very anxious. As if thinking very seriously for a moment, she said to Lu Chen, "I'll let you sing a song." Alas! The whole audience sighed in disappointment. "It's not interesting." Chen Fei smiled and added, "But it must be a new song that no one has heard before." New song. That's more like it. Chapter 4:18. If it were any other singer or artist, unless they had prepared in advance, Chen Fei's request would definitely make things difficult for them, or even make it impossible for them to step down. Writing a song was actually very easy. As long as you learned the basic skills, you could put together a song. But writing a song was very difficult. The birth of a good song not only needed a burst of inspiration, but also daily accumulation and learning, and a little bit of luck. How could it be taken out at any time? But Lu Chen is different. His talent and ability in creation are well known both inside and outside the circle. Wonderful or classic works are constantly being produced in his hands, which makes people really convinced. TN, the author of this article, is a Chinese novel. Even so, being able to hear his new work here tonight and become the first listener of a new song was also something worth being happy and joyful for the fans on the scene. Facing Chen Fei, Er's wish and the expectations of his fans, Lu Chen asked with a smile, "Can I say no?" Chen Fei shook his head and looked very determined. "No." Lu Chen surrendered. "Okay." Chen Fei smiled happily. "Great." The two people echoed each other on the stage, and the audience under the stage laughed. Lu Chen took a deep breath and said, "Before I sing this new song, I want to say a few words." The scene quickly quieted down. Even Chen Fei stepped aside and gave the stage to Lu Chen. Lu Chen continued, "For me, Hangzhou is a very special place. I finished college here and spent a very good time in my life. The people here and the scenery here are all worthy of nostalgia." Many of the fans present were Hangzhou locals, or studied or lived in Hangzhou. The feelings and affection that Lu Chen had for Hangzhou made them feel very proud. "In fact, I'm also half a Hangzhou native, so I've put the first fan meeting for my new album's promotional tour here. Although my current job and new home are in Beijing, when I'm old and can't sing anymore, I'll choose to retire here." Applause rang out unexpectedly, a sign of recognition for Lu Chen. Lu Chen finally said, "The name of this song is Jiangnan. It's for you and for the beautiful Hangzhou." Jiangnan. Speaking of Jiangnan, who didn't know Hangzhou and Westlake? This made the audience look forward to Lu Chen's new song and new work even more. Lu Chen continued to accompany the new song with the guitar. The wind was sticky here. Stuck to the passers-by's thoughts. Here the rain twined into a thread, pestering us to stay in this world. Having you by my side is fate. Fate was written on the stone of 3 lives. Love is a millionth sweet. I would rather be buried on this day. Circle, 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 circle. Every day, every day. Look deep into your face, the tenderness of anger, a gentle, complaining face. Jiangnan was the most beautiful place, with lakes and mountains, misty rain, green bricks and white tiles, willows. At that time, a young man wearing thin spring clothes, riding a horse on a slanted bridge, a young girl looking back and smiling, endless romantic stories. What this song, Jiangnan, sang was the dream that lingered in the hearts of countless talented scholars and beautiful women. Its melody was beautiful and moving, and it also had the shock of a sudden peak. Every word easily evoked people's yearning and nostalgia for this beautiful land, as well as the longing for the love story that had been passed down through the ages. Lu Chen's interpretation of Jiangnan reflected his powerful singing skills and brilliant skills, but the feelings integrated into the singing were so real and infectious. Although it was a brand new piece, it still brought the listener into that special atmosphere. We who don't understand the torment of love and hate think that love is like the fickle wind and clouds. Believe that one day of love is equal to forever. At this moment, time freezes. We who don't know how to show gentleness think that dying for love is just an ancient rumor. The sorrow of separation can be as painful as it can be when the dream is buried in the misty rain of Jiangnan. Only when the heart is broken will you understand. In essence, Jiangnan was a love song, singing about the unchanging love that had existed for thousands of years. However, its melody and style were destined to not be an ordinary love song. Perhaps people who listened to this work for the first time didn't know, but in the future, they would definitely know a word about music. This word was China style. The hundreds of audience members at the scene didn't speak or get distracted. They were already intoxicated by Lu Chen's singing, as if they were in the drizzle unique to Jiangnan, and in front of them was an ink painting. At this moment, it was enough to enjoy the music. Until Lu Chen finished singing. "Thank you." He held his guitar and bowed to express his gratitude, and all the fans in the audience stood up and applauded. They were also grateful to Lu Chen for giving everyone a good song, a really good song. The applause lasted for a few minutes. Lu Chen asked Chen Fei, "Do you like it?" Chen Fei's eyes were bright, and she nodded vigorously. She really liked this song. "And the person who sang this song?" Lu Chen said with a smile, "If you like it, can you help me do one more thing?" Chen Fei was curious. "What is it?" Lu Chen said, "It's very simple. Help me draw tonight's grand prize." Only then did the fans remember that there was a lucky draw at tonight's meeting, and the contents of the grand prize had been announced. It was a new Chinese station wagon worth more than 100,000 yuan. Thinking of the attractive grand prize, everyone couldn't help but get excited. Lucky draw. The crowd's voice was so enthusiastic that Chen Fei couldn't find a reason to refuse. The staff sent the prepared lucky draw box to the stage. All the fans who participated in tonight's meeting had an invitation letter. The corner of the invitation letter was cut off when they entered the venue. The corresponding number was printed on it, and then they were all placed in this box to draw the prize. In addition to the grand prize, there were also first, second, and third prizes. The prizes included computers, mobile phones, limited edition albums, etc., mainly provided by China Automobile. Together, Lu Chen and Chen Fei first drew 23rd prize winners, followed by 10 second prize winners. The fans whose number was called were happy and disappointed, because they were lucky to be drawn, but it also meant that they had no chance of winning the grand prize. The automobile grand prize was the last to be drawn, and the winner was a teenage girl. She was so happy on the spot, laughing and crying. She was so excited that she didn't know what to do. The atmosphere at the scene also reached a new climax at this time. The first stop of Lu Chen's fan meeting to promote his new album in Hangzhou was undoubtedly a perfect success. Note: Jiangnan lyrics, Li Ruixuan, Chen Shaoqi / composer, Lin Junjie. Chapter 419. After the end of the promotional event in Hangzhou, Lu Chen's team rushed to the second stop, Shanghai City. Lu Chen himself returned to his home in Binhai with Chen Fei. His current career is booming and his work is getting busier and busier. His mother is unwilling to retire early and live in Beijing, so except for the Chinese New Year, it is difficult to see her. Lu Chen is a filial child, so he planned to go home to see his mother while taking advantage of this publicity trip to Hangzhou. Now he is with his girlfriend, so he can also make his mother and sister happy and enjoy the warmth of family. However, because the itinerary was arranged, Lu Chen and Chen Fei only stayed in Binhai for one day. Then Chen Fei returned directly to Beijing from Binhai, while Lu Chen went south to meet the team in the deep sea. As a celebrity couple, it is normal for them to separate. Without any accident, the news of Lu Chen's fan meeting in Hangzhou appeared in the entertainment section of major media. Although it didn't grab the headlines, it was introduced in a lot of space. Naturally, the appearance of Chen Fei as a surprise guest, and the number of viewers of the online live broadcast of the fan meeting broke a record, which inevitably poured a spoonful of hot oil on the already quite popular online live broadcast industry. So, although it was nominally the promotion of Lu Chen's new album, in fact, the two sponsors, China Motors and Whale TV, were the real winners, especially Whale TV. With this record-breaking live broadcast, they have fiercely brushed up a wave of popularity and have a great tendency to return to the peak. If you ask what changes Lu Chen's appearance has brought to the pan-entertainment industry, first of all, he has brought a new trend of pop music with his unparalleled creative talent. Big boosted the morale of domestic original works, and at the same time, it has also increased the treatment of original music songwriters. In fact, the two TV series created and starring by Lu Chen have become popular both at home and abroad, creating a new model for domestic TV series, making the industry begin to seriously reflect on the bad atmosphere of imitation and plagiarism in the past. It is inevitable that there will be film and television entertainment companies, with the successful influence of Autumn in My Heart and Full of Romance, will seriously produce sincere works. There was also a live streaming platform. People inside and outside the circle know that although Lu Chen officially made his debut through Singing China, his popularity accumulation and expansion largely relied on the platform of Whale TV. Moreover, after he became successful and famous, he did not leave Whale TV behind, but became more and more popular. According to information leaked from within Whale TV intends to re-sign an endorsement contract with Lu Chen. The endorsement fee will reach 8 figures, and Lu Chen will earn hundreds of thousands of yuan from the platform every month. One must know that the current Lu Chen did not have many hours of live broadcast time on Whale TV. The income from the endorsement fee and the share of the gifts was enough to make those second and third-tier star artists extremely jealous. It was precisely because of his success precedent that more and more star artists appeared on major online platforms. Of course, the big stars who were not short of money and popularity were dismissive of this, but they could not resist the artists who were struggling to find a breakthrough in the entertainment industry, especially young singers. On the other hand, with many star artists frequently opening live shows on the internet, they have attracted a large number of fans and audiences to support them, which has led to the development of the entire industry. Some people in the online live broadcast industry once joked that everyone should pool money to give Lu Chen a big medal. Without his success, the value and popularity of the industry would not have risen so fast. But apart from these superficial or deep influences and changes, some people are more concerned about Lu Chen's talent in music creation. On the night that Lu Chen went to the deep sea, the well-known blogger and music critic Donghu Lu's Cultivator of the Waves blog made a profound comment on the song Jiangnan that he sang at the Hangzhou fan meeting. The song Jiangnan is very different from Lu Chen's previous works. The author believes that this is a breakthrough attempt by him, as an outstanding singer-songwriter, to seek novelty and change in original pop music. For the author, this work is simply a great surprise. It can be said to be one of Lu Chen's best works this year. He has unearthed a lot of our local traditions and integrated them into his own music, thus forming a distinct and unique style. Although the author has only heard a simplified version without arrangement and accompaniment, imagine if it is matched with traditional folk music to carry the theme of the work, the charm of this song will increase exponentially. It is very worth looking forward to. The author dares to assert that when the completed version of Jiangnan comes out, Lu Chen's position in the pop music world will reach a new height, and if his future works can continue this style, it will be enough to lead a new trend again. The blog post of Donghu Lu's Cultivator praising Lu Chen did not cause much response on the blog, because there were many articles commenting on Lu Chen's works on the blog, and it was not the first time that Donghu Lu's Cultivator had commented on Lu Chen's original songs. However, in the pop music world, some people were still keenly aware of a certain smell. The future is always unpredictable. Whether a butterfly can set off a storm with a flap of its wings remains to be seen and proven by time. The second stop of Lu Chen's new album promotion was in the deep sea, the third stop was in Tianfu, and the fourth stop was in Shaoqing. He led his team around a big circle in China, traveled thousands of kilometers, traveled to 7 major cities in a row, and finally returned to Beijing on the eve of the official release of the album. At this time, the crowdfunding goal of Lu Chen's new album, The Ordinary Road, on the online crowdfunding website has been achieved, and several of the projects have exceeded 1,000%. In addition to the number of records ordered by Xinhua Publishing House, the new album has locked in sales of millions. Because the sales were too hot, the official release date was also delayed by a few days. On September 1st, Lu Chen's new album, The Ordinary Road, was fully launched for sale. On that day, the digital record sales on QQ Music exceeded 200,000. There is no doubt about the success of this new record, and people are looking forward to what heights it can reach in the end. It is worth mentioning that the cumulative sales of Chen Feier's album, Woman Flower, produced by Lu Chen, has exceeded 4 million, easily winning the achievement of For Diamond, and is not far from the 5 million crown. If Lu Chen's album can also reach the achievement of crown, it will undoubtedly create a story in the pop music world and make countless people talk about it with relish. On September 22nd, Chen Feier's Fei Tong Fan Xiang solo concert was held in the Beijing Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium. Chapter 420. The Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium in Beijing was built in 1994 and completed in 1999. As the main venue of the Beijing Olympic Games in 2000, it was the largest in the world at that time. More than a decade later, this magnificent stadium is still among the world's first class. A lot of equipment was replaced during the renovation and maintenance in 2013, and the internal facilities are still not outdated. Generally speaking, those who can hold a solo concert in the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium are either world-class stars or domestic big shots. There is a popular saying in the pop music industry, if you have the ability, go to the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium to sing. On September 22nd, Chen Feier's Fei Tong Fan Xiang solo concert was held in the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium. This was not the first time she sang in the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium, but from the Queen of Sweet Songs to the Queen of Love Songs, this concert, which was nearly a year late, was very important to her. In fact, the preparatory work began a few months ago. The top performance company in Beijing was hired, and they took the shortcut to get the approval permit to perform in the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium. As a place that had once attracted the attention of the world, the Olympic Five Ring Stadium usually did not receive many performances. There were strict requirements in all aspects. The first rule for celebrities who were qualified to stand on the stage inside was that they could not have any obvious misdeeds. For example, people who cheated, drove drunk, took drugs, or visited prostitutes, they should get as far away from them as possible. Therefore, although the entertainment industry was noisy and chaotic, the real top stars often paid great attention to their personal image. Most of them could keep themselves clean. Otherwise, there would be many places that closed the door to them. The Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium could accommodate a total of 120,000 spectators, but because of the overall layout, no more than 100,000 tickets could be sold. But this was already a very amazing figure. According to the lowest price of 128 yuan, 100,000 tickets would be 12.8 million. Of course, it was difficult to sell all 100,000 tickets. It would be very successful if more than 70% of the seats were occupied. Only a very small number of the top stars would be able to have the grand occasion of a full house. Imagine standing on a brightly lit stage with 100,000 spectators cheering for you. The flashing screens were as dazzling as the stars in the night sky. How dazzling would that be? For a singer, this was probably the highest goal in life. Tickets for Chen Feier's Fei Tong Fan Xiang solo concert began to be pre-sold more than a month ago. With a certain number of complimentary tickets, it could reach about 80% of the seats, which meant that 80,000 spectators would be present. Although there was still a gap from the domestic record of more than 100,000 audience/single concert, it was enough to make 99% of singers feel inferior and envious. The concert officially started at 7:00 in the afternoon, and at 4:00 in the afternoon, most of the seats were already occupied. It was not easy to hold a sing-along at the Olympic Stadium. The security issue alone involved many aspects. It was not something that could be settled with money. Connections and resources were indispensable. To put it bluntly, Chen Feier had the ability and qualifications to sing in the Olympic Fifth Ring Stadium. If it were Lu Qin, he would also have the ability, but he was still a little less qualified. Of course, Lu Qin would appear on the stage that everyone was watching tonight. As a special guest. It was normal for stars to invite friends in the circle to support them when they held a concert. The identity of the guest was often very mysterious. It was strictly kept secret before the appearance as a highlight of the publicity, and then it would surprise the audience. However, for the first concert of Chen Feier's solo concert in Beijing, the guest was confirmed to be Lu Qin. It was only kept secret for the subsequent concerts in Shanghai, Shanghai, and Chongqing. Therefore, fans knew in advance, which was one of the reasons why the concert tickets sold so well. The number of Lu Qin's fans was not much smaller than that of Chen Feier. Although there was a big overlap, it was still able to attract some of Chen Feier's fans. At this moment, the stadium was already bustling with people. Countless light sticks in the audience seats were like stars in the sky. Fluorescent screens with Chen Feier's name were held high, as if they could summon Chen Feier in advance. In the backstage dressing room, Chen Feier, who had finished dressing, was sitting on the sofa with Lu Qin. The first costume of the Heavenly Queen of Singing was a gorgeous long dress. She rarely put on makeup, which gave her a different kind of sexy beauty, but her little hands were a little cold. "What's wrong?" Lu Qin held her hand and asked with concern, "Are you nervous?" Chen Feier shook her head, then nodded and said, "A little bit. I'm afraid I'll make a mistake." For a Heavenly Queen of Singing who had made her debut for more than 10 years and held many concerts, she shouldn't have such emotions. But the significance of today's concert was particularly different for Chen Feier. In the past, Chen Feier was the famous queen of sweet songs, but now she had transformed into the queen of love songs. Despite the fact that Woman Flower had sold more than 4 million copies, this concert was still one of the most important milestones in her singing career. If she screwed up, it would be an unforgivable mistake for Chen Feier. She had been preparing for this concert for a whole year. So, Chen Feier was nervous. Lu Qin understood. He thought for a moment, got up and went out to get a guitar. "It's still early. I'll sing a song for you." Chen Feier smiled and said, "Actually, you don't have to do this. I can control myself." "Well, you can sing." She felt the sweetness from the heart. Because of Lu Qin's gentleness and consideration. Lu Qin sat down next to Chen Feier with the guitar in his arms. After testing the sound, he plucked the strings. He sang the song, "When you're old. When you're old, your hair is white and you're drowsy. When you're old, and you can't walk anymore, and you take a nap by the fire, and you remember your youth. How many loved you in your youth, how many admired your beauty, whether they were sincere or fake, but only one person still loves your pious soul." Chen Feier listened quietly, feeling the emotions contained in the lyrics. Unconsciously, the anxiety in her heart disappeared without a trace, and something warm filled her heart. She couldn't help leaning her head gently on Lu Qin's shoulder, smelling the familiar smell. She wanted time to stop at this moment forever, and never go forward again. Until the door of the room was knocked. The assistant opened the door and poked his head in. "Sister Feier, it's almost time to go on stage." Chen Feier stood up. She seemed to have been reborn. Her face was glowing, and there was no longer any fear in her bright eyes. She was full of confidence. This was the real Chen Feier. Chapter 421. In the drizzling rain, an intercity express train painted in blue and white sped along the straight railway track. On both sides of the track were high-rise buildings half hidden in the rain and mist, highlighting the prosperity and greatness of Shanghai, the most economically developed city in South China. In the A1 business seat of the number 2 carriage, Lu Chen was holding a copy of Entertainment Express and reading it attentively. The Entertainment Express was the largest business daily newspaper in China. Today, with the internet industry as its main reporting material, the survival of this newspaper, which mainly reported on the pan-entertainment industry, relied on accurate and in-depth reports, timely and explosive content, and unique observation of news angles. The protagonist of today's headline of the Entertainment Express was impressively the person who was holding it now. The man standing behind the heavenly queen of the music industry. The thick black and huge font gave people a very shocking feeling, and the rather sensational title was enough to attract people to read the content and see what the editor was trying to sell. This article, which occupied more than half of the front page of the Entertainment Express, first reported the great success of Qin Fei's solo national tour, which was enthusiastically pursued by countless fans in Beijing, Huhai, Huaqing, Shanqing, Shaqing. The total audience of the 7 concerts exceeded 500,000, which was the most popular national tour this year. After introducing Qin Fei's solo performance, the editor of the article changed the direction of the pen, and used a sophisticated and humorous pen to reveal the key to Qin Fei's gorgeous transformation from the queen of sweet songs to the heavenly queen of love songs. The man standing behind the heavenly queen of the music industry was naturally Lu Chen. The article asserted that the sales of Qin Fei's transformational work, Woman Flower album rebounded, infinitely approaching the achievement of 5 million crown, and thus pushing her position in the pop music industry to the peak, was the biggest contributor to Lu Chen. Lu Chen not only wrote many popular love songs for her, but also used the 2 popular TV series, Autumn in My Heart and Full of Romance, to bring her career to a new high point. There was no doubt about his importance to Qin Fei. The headline article also detailed Lu Chen's path to success. In the end, it jokingly said, "Do you want to become a diva like Qin Fei? Then find a man like Lu Chen." After reading the headline, Lu Chen couldn't help but laugh. He folded the newspaper again and placed it on the table in front of him. On September 22, Qin Fei successfully held his first solo concert of the year at the Beijing Olympic Stadium. He appeared as the only guest and sang 2 love songs with Qin Fei. After that, Qin Fei went to the capital, Huhai, Huaqing, and other places. Lu Chen accompanied him. Until October 17, the last concert ended in Xinjiang. After the two spent a busy and sweet time together, Qin Fei was invited to perform in a long historical TV series produced by CCTV, Song of the Golden Age, while Lu Chen went south to the Xiangjiang Special Zone. He was now on the intercity express train from Shanghai City to Jiulong in Xiangjiang. Pulled by a powerful electric locomotive, the long express train passed through Luohu and entered the new territories of Xiangjiang. Xiangjiang, formerly known as Hong Kong, is located in South China, east of the Pearl River estuary, on the coast of the South China Sea, north of the Deep Sea, west of the Pearl River, facing the Macau Special Administrative Region across the Pearl River estuary, and the other 2 sides are adjacent to the South China Sea. Xiangjiang is also one of the most prosperous international metropolises in the world. The whole territory is composed of 3 major regions, namely Hong Kong Island, Jiulong Peninsula, and New Territories. The total land area under its jurisdiction is 11,032 square kilometers. As of the end of 2016, the total population is 13.52 million, ranking second in the world in population density. It is the world's 3rd largest financial center after New York and London. Known as Nuremberg, it enjoys a high reputation in the world. It is also an important shipping hub and one of the most competitive cities in the world and the Asia-Pacific region. For 20 consecutive years, its Economic Freedom Index has ranked first in the world. This huge and prosperous city has always been famous for its excellent public security, free economy, and sound legal system. It has the reputation of charm city, food paradise, and a shopping paradise. It is also one of the wealthiest, most economically developed, and has the highest standard of living in the world. Half a month ago, Lu Chen applied for permanent residency in Hong Kong and Macau's Special Administrative Region, which is commonly known as the Special Economic Zone Green Card. Although he did not transfer his citizenship, with this thin certificate card, whether it is buying property or investing in business in Xinjiang, he will receive the same treatment as the residents of the Special Administrative Region. And this time, Lu Chen's main purpose in going south to Xinjiang is to complete the establishment of Lu Chen Xinjiang Film and Television Studio. In fact, as early as late August, Lu Chen Xinjiang Film and Television Studio had already been registered in Xinjiang. However, including the registration and approval, the rental of the office building, the recruitment of employees, and so on, they were all completed by Wan Shaoquan, who came to Xinjiang earlier. However, as the core figure of the studio, many important documents need to be personally signed and checked by Lu Chen. Wan Shaoquan had long wanted Lu Chen to come to Xinjiang, but because Lu Chen was too busy with work, it was delayed. Therefore, he had to go now, or else Wan Shaoquan would jump off the building to protest. For this trip to Xinjiang, Lu Chen only brought Zhang Xiaofang as his assistant. It could be said that he traveled light. The speed of the intercity express was very fast. It only took 20 minutes to arrive at Xinjiang's Zhulong Terminal Station. From here, one can take the Xinjiang subway that extends in all directions and then go to various areas. Mr. Lu Chen, welcome to Xinjiang. After the staff of Zhulong Station checked Lu Chen's ID, they gave him a rather charming smile. I wish you a happy day in Xinjiang. Thank you. Lu Chen took back his ID and walked out with Zhang Xiaofang. Outside the exit passage, Lu Chen saw Wan Shaoquan who came to pick him up. After more than 2 months, seeing this middle-aged director again, Lu Chen almost couldn't recognize him. Compared to the previous depression and gloominess, Wan Shaoquan, who started a new life in Xinjiang, seemed to be full of energy. His whole person seemed to be 4 or 5 years younger, full of confidence and vitality. Lu Chen. Seeing Lu Chen coming out from inside, Wan Shaoquan immediately greeted him with a smile on his face and said, Finally, you're here. Lu Chen blushed with shame. Director Wan, I'm really sorry. I was too busy a while ago. In order to make him come to Xinjiang, Wan Shaoquan had called him more than 10 times. Wan Shaoquan shook his head with a smile and said, Let's not talk about this. He pulled the girl beside him over and said, Let me introduce you. This is little Zhen. Li Zhen, Li as in dawn, Zhen as in pearl. They are your personal assistant and secretary in Xinjiang. Chapter 422. Li Zhen was 25 years old and graduated from Hong Kong Chinese University. She had 3 years of working experience and once worked with a second-tier star in Hong Kong. She had a good reputation in the circle, so she was poached by Wan Shaoquan. Wan Shaoquan was no stranger to Hong Kong. He had a special economic zone green card 10 years ago and even planned to retire in Hong Kong. He also had some connections with the local entertainment circle. So after coming to Hong Kong with the funds provided by Lu Chen, Wan Shaoquan quickly got into the role and pulled up a team of people through headhunting or recruitment, showing his ability outside of being a director. However, Wan Shaoquan's ability in this area was limited, so he needed Lu Chen to come and host. After all, his real job and passion was still shooting movies. Li Zhen was the assistant secretary that Wan Shaoquan specially prepared for Lu Chen. This delicate and pretty girl had a round face and big eyes. When she smiled, there would be a shallow dimple on her right cheek. Let's not talk about her ability first, at least she was pleasing to the eye. Hello, Mr. Lu Chen, I am your assistant Li Zhen. After Wan Shaoquan introduced her, Li Zhen bowed to Lu Chen and said, Please take care of me. As a local of Hong Kong, Li Zhen's Mandarin was very standard, almost no accent could be heard. This was also one of the important reasons why Wan Shaoquan chose her. The official languages of Hong Kong's Special Administrative Region were Chinese and English, and the native language of Hong Kong people was Cantonese, so many locals and even many young people could only speak Cantonese. It was very difficult to communicate with the mainlanders. Of course, with the increasing influence of the mainland economy on Hong Kong, the number of people who spoke Mandarin in Hong Kong was increasing day by day, especially those who did business with the mainland. It was very troublesome if they didn't speak Mandarin. Li Zhen was undoubtedly one of the representatives. Lu Chen smiled and reached out his hand and said, "Hello, Miss Li." This name reminded him of Sister Li in the capital. The two names only had a difference of one word, it was also fate. "You can call me Zhen." Li Zhen shook hands with Lu Chen with a blushing face, her heart beating faster for a few seconds. She was not a young girl, nor a newcomer who had never seen the world. It was just that the new boss in front of her was young and handsome, which inevitably touched her special feelings as a woman. After working in the studio, Li Zhen had a detailed understanding of her new boss. She knew that Lu Chen was a rising star in the domestic pop music and film industry, and Lu Chen's girlfriend was Qin Fei. If the current popularity and fame of Lu Chen and Qin Fei in China were not much different, in Hong Kong, Lu Chen could not compare with his girlfriend at all, in Hong Kong, and Fei was far from the top local stars. The reason for this was very complicated. If Li Zhen hadn't changed this new job, she wouldn't know what kind of person Lu Chen was. But after hearing Lu Chen's works on the internet and watching Autumn in My Heart starring him, Li Zhen also became a fan of Lu Chen, so it was inevitable that she was excited to see her idol. It must be noted here that last year's Autumn in My Heart had not been broadcasted in Hong Kong. Zhen, I'll have to trouble you in the future. Lu Chen nodded and introduced Zhang Xiaofang to her. This is my assistant, Zhang Xiaofang. Facing Zhang Xiaofang, Li Zhen was much more natural and unrestrained. Brother Zhang, please guide me in the future. Zhang Xiaofang was not good with words, so he shook hands with her a little awkwardly. Hello. Wan Shaoquan said, well, let's talk in the car. Let's go to the studio first. The car was already waiting outside. This Mercedes-Benz business car was specially purchased for Lu Chen's Hong Kong studio. It could accommodate 7 people and was very expensive. However, this was a very necessary expenditure. It was impossible to run a business in Xiangjiang without a car. Furthermore, even if the car was of poor quality, it would be very easy to be looked down upon by others. In this metropolis, luxury cars from all over the world were gathered, and Rolls-Royce was the most numerous. The Mercedes-Benz business car was already very low-key. In the future, there would definitely be another car for Lu Chen to match his identity and status. Although Xiangjiang returned to China in 1969, the policy of one country, two systems allowed Xiangjiang to maintain a unique development trajectory. Therefore, whether it was the local customs or laws and regulations, they were all very different from the domestic. It could even be said that they were two different worlds. The address of Lu Chen's Xiangjiang Film and Television Studio was in the commercial center of Xiangpun, not far from Xiangjiang University. This area gathered the main TV stations of Xiangjiang, including the headquarters of wireless and satellite TV stations, as well as big and small film and television entertainment companies and record companies. It was the core and essence of Xiangjiang's entertainment circle. Crossing the Victoria Harbour along the West Kowloon Highway, they entered the commercial area, which was full of high-rise buildings. The business car carrying Lu Chen and others stopped in front of a 50 to 60-story high building. The studio was on the 59th floor of this Rongjin building, in an office with an area of about 200 square meters. Compared to the Lu Chen studio in Beijing, the area of Xiangjiang studio was undoubtedly much smaller, but the rent was not cheap at all. It was more than 100,000 yuan per month, which was equivalent to a monthly rent of 500 square meters. And this was considered cheap in Xiangjiang, where every inch of land was extremely expensive. East of Xiangpun were the Upper Ring, Middle Ring and Golden Bell land. The same area of office buildings with a rent of 2 to 3 million yuan per year could be found everywhere. The high rent was among the highest in the world. Wan Xiaoquan had only been in Xiangjiang for 2 months, but the expenses of renting a house, getting approval, hiring people, buying a car, etc., had been spent like water. Of course, this money was not spent in vain. In addition to the necessary investment, the early investment also allowed Lu Qin to easily obtain a special economic zone green card. Otherwise, even if he was a well-known artist in the country, it would take a long time and effort to apply for a green card. As for ordinary people, it was currently already very difficult to apply for a green card, not to mention the more difficult immigration. The economic prosperity, coupled with a large population and special environment, and then there were investors from the mainland investing in Xiangjiang's real estate market. Therefore, the average house price in Xiangjiang was the highest in the world, surpassing that of Beijing. A 200 square meters office building, for a newly established star studio, was actually already considered very luxurious. There were also many local artists in Xiangjiang who opened a studio, but only a few could rent such a big office in this commercial area. As for the current employees of the studio, aside from Wan Xiaoquan and Li Zhen, there were also 7 people including the receptionist, ordinary clerks, financial cashier, network management, marketing planner and so on. There was also a director of the studio, Chen Wenxiang. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.